Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the
What's
show.
up?
You saw hurricanes about to fuck up North Carolina and South Carolina?
I was just thinking about that shit, man. It's fucking really, really scary. Like the f- the scariest part about it is like with all the storms, the Puerto Rico shit, the hurricanes that always hit Florida. The fact that there's a reporter like standing where the shit's about to be diesel, and like you just know it's coming, but like the weather's still fine then, like people are still on the beach, and you just know in a day or however many hours it's gonna be like straight anarchy.
I thought that was crazy too, how like you can see them on the beach and at like right then and there, the
Hmm.
sun is shining and it looks beautiful and there's just like a few clouds in the sky.
Yep.
And it's like, yes, we know as a matter of fact that that's all about to change.
Hmm.
And imagine if you brought that technology back to like 1820 and you were like, yo, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, get the fuck out. Get out. You're about to get destroyed in 2 days' time. It will
Hmm.
be 150-mile-an-hour wind right where you're standing. They'd be like, no way, get the fuck out of here.
They think you're a fucking lunatic. They'd be
Yeah.
like, no one, you don't know what's gonna happen in 2 days. Like this is weather, like
Yeah. It is kind of crazy how we could predict all that, but it does. It looks crazy on the on like whatever the radar thing is.
it's
It,
fucking scary.
it looks
And
strong, man. That thing is huge and it looks strong. And they were saying how usually the paths that hurricanes would take this time of year,
Mhm.
it would start coming towards like Florida slash Georgia, and then it would kind of make an abrupt turn when it's thousands of miles out in the sea and just
Mhm.
kind of taper off before it even hits land. But they said because of the conditions now, whether they said something about the pressure, which I don't know enough about to really comment on, but
Yeah.
because of the way the pressure is right now, there's nothing preventing it from just go walloping North Carolina and South Carolina and just going like making landfall at like category 4, which is goddamn devastating.
Yeah, the fact that we can talk about this and predict what's gonna happen, and like shops like board up their walls
Yeah.
and know that their stuff's gonna get completely demolished. Like people that have stores right on the like coast right there, it's a wrap. Like don't even like I saw some lady like she had a bakery. She was like, "Oh, we're gonna put stuff up 3 feet in the air," and like, bitch, I'm sorry, but your shit's not gonna be good money after this storm.
Yeah.
Like,
Like it depends how like what it's like when it hits, because I remember we got hit with Sandy and they said that technically it was a really really big category 3.
mhm,
So it was like really long, but the winds were not a 4 or a 5.
mhm.
But if you get hit with a 4 or a 5, that shit is no joke, not just because of the wind and the wind is crazy, but also because of the storm surge.
Mhm.
That like if you're talking about like a 10-foot storm surge, then whole areas are just basically destroyed.
Yep.
Everything that's like, whatever, 10 feet above sea level or less.
Yeah,
So
the radars are ridiculous. The fact that like you can see the whole like just outline of the storm. Imagine being in like a boat right now in the middle of the water there while that shit is just fucking going berserk in the water. Like I can't imagine that. And then there was a storm that happened recently that completely demolished like one of those like St. Martin's or St. whatever, and they had like a video camera on the island, and it was like that island got hit like the worst. It was like when the storm was at like it was its Michael Jordan peak of the fucking storm.
yeah, I
And
remember that. The whole island was just obliterated.
it's just madness and scary and scary and scary that like this stuff is just happening and happening, and we're just becoming like sort of numb to it, but it's on some, and I keep saying this shit. They keep putting day after tomorrow on TV because this shit is happening. Like newscasters are like, "There's gonna be the worst storm and evacuate and all this shit," and everybody's just like, "Oh, it's gonna be a really bad storm." And then they get like some drunk guy from North Carolina on TV, like, "I'm just gonna go buy some whiskey," and like everybody's like, "Oh, that's cute," you know. But this is the beginning of the fucking world ending. Like, and like people try to deny that shit, but they did the same shit in Day After Tomorrow. It was crazy fucking like storm patterns that everybody was just like, "Oh no, this just happens." But it's like this stuff doesn't happen. Like to evacuate people from like where they live and like just straight, like have a whole like state have to leave and go other places. It's like that's not normal. Like that's scary.
Well, the thing that concerns me, so for all the science geeks out there, let's just get this out there, because it is a fact that you can't pin any individual weather event to climate change. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is you can look at the patterns over time, mm-hmm. because weather is what happens on any given day. Climate is the accumulation of weather events and the pattern over an extended period of time. And what they say is there has been an increase in extreme weather events. And that does strike me as pretty obvious. I mean, I remember when I was a kid seeing a few examples. I think it was like 1992, and there was Hurricane Andrew, which fucking mm-hmm. walloped Florida. But I don't remember there being this many that in a short time span that's like, oh, it's going to make landfall, and it's going to... Because it just happened in Houston, right? And then it happened, Maria obliterated Puerto Rico. I mean, it just mm-hmm. absolutely destroyed Puerto Rico to the point where they're still reeling. They're not recovered. Dude, fucking 3,000 people died in Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico.
It's wild.
So it really is insane, but
I guess to your point,
fascination.
If there was like Twitter and news and all that shit back when we were growing up, to your point, maybe we would have thought it was a little worse too.
Yeah,
I think
it's possible.
The news,
sure.
Glamorizes that shit.
What was I gonna say?
My bad. You had a point.
Good. It's all good. I forget shit all the time anyway. I have a weird fascination with, like, I really like watching the Weather Channel or AccuWeather or whatever when there's an extreme event happening. I have this
you don't feel bad for those fucking people.
Oh, no. I feel terrible for them. I feel horrendous. I feel really bad for them. But I have a weird, like, I feel like I have to watch it when there's an extreme weather event happening. And I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on over here?
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I just can't take my eyes off it. But what's funny is I started doing that before, and then I was like, the fuck am I doing? This thing is still like over 1,000 miles out in the ocean. Like, it's not even close to making landfall. Like, it's gonna make landfall on like fucking Thursday night or Friday morning or some shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, what's it doing now? Which is just silly.
I mean, it's fascinating to follow though, because it's like the whole storyline behind it. The fact that like we know it's coming, and we sort of just have to just watch it happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. So you sort of become invested in tracking this whole storm,
Our friend Bobby, he now lives in, I think it's South Carolina. It might be north.
Fuck.
But I was like, yo, there's a mandatory evacuation, dude. Like, where are you? How close are you to the coast? He's like, oh, no, I'm like 5 hours from the coast. I was like, oh, you're good. You're good. If you're 5 hours from the coast, I mean, you might get hit, but your storm surge is not a problem when you're 5 hours from the coast.
And also, if you live on the coast, you sort of have to know when you're buying some shit.
Yeah,
that this is a possibility that something's
I've said that a million times. Like, I would never buy some shit on the water. The only kind of body of water where I'd be like, okay, maybe is a lake. Mm-hmm. I would never do a fucking ocean.
No.
Are you kidding me? Like, that thing is Mother Nature. Any given second can swallow your punk ass up.
Yeah.
Like that. You have to respect the fucking ocean. The ocean is no joke. Now, a pond, that's fine. A lake, that's fine. But actually, the Great Lakes are no joke either. The Great Lakes are insane. They have like a current on the lake because they're so big. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a mini ocean. Like, that's how big the Great Lakes are.
Yeah, that's wild. The scariest sight is when, like, before the storm hits, you could see the ocean, like the water go all the way back.
Oh, that's when there's a tsunami. When there's a tsunami, you see the water go all. Have you ever seen the movie San Andreas?
With The Rock?
With The Rock?
No.
I enjoy that movie. That movie's dumb because it's so hyperbolic and like. Yeah. But it's made. That's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be over the top. But I really like that movie.
World ending type of shit.
What's that?
It's like the world ending.
Yeah, kind of like a world ending type of thing. It's kind of about the big earthquake that's eventually going to hit California with the San Andreas fault. But it's like, it really takes it like to the next level. It makes it like, oh, imagine if an earthquake could hit that's not even as possible because it's so large.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like that movie. I was just reminded of that when you mentioned the tsunami thing. Because, that shit is crazy. You see, and the crazy thing is, back in the day, people didn't know. Mm-mm. So all that water would recede and people would walk out. And then what happens with a tsunami is not what a lot of people think. It's not like you see in the movies with the giant 50-foot wave that comes and takes over. What happens is, it's like a small, whatever it is, 5 feet, 10 feet, whatever it is, but it goes in and it just keeps going in. And so it'll go inland fucking miles probably, and then it kills you. Like you can't have giant rushing water. You know
No.
what I'm saying? Like it's not one tall wave. It's more just like a smaller wave that just keeps going inland.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like that pinball pull shit. Like you pull it back so far, and then when you let go, it just fucking rushes at you, and you just can't even escape that shit.
I think that tsunamis are tied to earthquakes. That like whenever there's an earthquake, like they could calculate, oh shit, there's an earthquake at this fault, which is however long into the ocean. But that's when they'll be like, oh shit, tsunami warning, because that can trigger a tsunami.
Yeah, it's got to be a little scary, like living in California, one with like forest fire shits.
Well, dude, there are very few places that are actually safe. I actually looked this up. I'm really interested in this question. Like, what's the safest place from natural disasters in the U.S.? I looked up. And they said some of it is actually upstate New York, believe it or not. So, like, Syracuse was on the list. I think Buffalo was on the list. And then a lot of it was in Ohio. So there was, like, Akron, Ohio.
Maybe because it's flat?
Well, no, because the thing is, so if you go to Oklahoma, you're in Tornado Alley. You go to Texas, you're in Tornado Alley. You go to California, like you said, you have wildfires in Northern California. You have earthquakes there as well.
Mudslides.
If you're anywhere on the East Coast, like even where I am in New York, it's still there's still the chance of a hurricane from time to time. Nothing like the Florida hurricanes, but we can still get hurricanes.
Yeah.
So anything on the East Coast, you have to worry about hurricanes, and the South obviously. Anything on the West Coast, wildfires, earthquakes. Anything in the middle, tornadoes. So then where is it that you're most likely to get away from all of it? And there are a few pockets. So like upstate New York is safe statistically from it. Ohio doesn't get much. And I think there was some in Illinois. Actually, Chicago was on the list too. They said Chicago is one of the safest places. Yeah, because there's what are you going to get there? I don't think
they have Lake Michigan that could fucking wild out with something.
They give caveats on all of them because no place is totally safe, but they do say that some of them, like, oh, flooding is the worst that could happen here, yada yada. I mean, there's no place that's safe. I mean, like I remember I was looking a while back. I think we spoke about this on the podcast. I was like, what place has like 70-degree weather all the time? And it just doesn't exist. That's not a thing that exists anywhere. Like
San Diego is pretty fucking gorgeous all year round.
No, San Diego's a lot warmer than that, I think. Like, it can get pretty warm. San Francisco, I think, is close to that 70-degree level, but I think sometimes it can get hot. Yeah, like, it's just there's no place where it's like, because obviously you have different seasons and everything, too. I mean, who are we kidding? But that was a question I was interested in, because I was like, damn, I wish there was a place that was just 65 or 70 degrees all year round, sun shining. But it's just not a thing.
It's funny when something bizarre happens in like a state that isn't expected. So I've like family in Atlanta, and it doesn't really like snow there. I mean, like it snows.
Oh, all chaos breaks loose when there's snowing in the South. Yep. Because they're not prepared for it.
They're not prepared, and it's like the little tiniest bit of snow
shuts it all down.
Shuts everything down. Motherfuckers don't know how to drive. They forget like how to shop. They forget how to talk. It's like.
That's hilarious.
It's so weird because it's like, I don't know, how far is New York from Atlanta? Like 9, 12 hours.
Yeah, 9, 12 hours, something like that.
But it's like, people, if it snows in New York, it's
nothing.
Like it's nothing. We still got to go to work. School's still going.
Yep. It has to be horrendous for things to shut down. Like, it has to be super blizzard-like conditions for it to happen. But that's the thing. Like, if you look at our state governments, for example, obviously in New York, they have to budget a lot for, like, salt, for example, for the roads, and you have to fucking plow the streets, and everybody has, like, a plan laid out, and, like, oh, when this happens, I pay this guy $80, and he comes and he hits it with the fucking, a plow, and then I got my neighbor 3 doors down helps me shovel, and so everything is all, like, scheduled. When you get some shit like that in Georgia, people are like, we weren't fucking, it snows once every fucking 40 years here. We're not ready for this shit.
Yep.
I actually wonder how often it is. Like, is it once every, like, 5 years it snows there or something like that?
I mean, it does snow down there. But
yeah, every now and then.
But it's just, they're not
even New York, man. Like, I looked this up one day. I forget what the exact number was, but I want to say it was probably, like, something like 11 days on average of the year it snows in New York. Which is not that much. If somebody is listening to me now and they live in Alaska, those motherfuckers are laughing at us. They're like, oh, you think you know snow, bitch? You want to see snow, motherfucker? And they'll show you, like, son, it is just 12 feet of snow on a regular basis.
But even rain, like California, the fact that they get no rain when it rains a little bit,
they're
it's
like, oh my God, it's rain.
It's like all hell breaks loose. But I mean, they're so dependent on rain.
Yeah.
The fact that someone can just go like in the fucking forest, start a fire, and that shit just spreads to like
even the water, like we've spoken about before. How there are
Yeah.
signs when we went to LA, were there signs that said, you know, you should limit or
I don't think that when we were there,
because they had just had rain before we went.
But I think if you live there, it's a known thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
like, oh,
you know,
you don't-
you're a dick if you're sprinkling your grass or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, like you're that
Yeah.
asshole if like your sprinklers are on.
Yeah.
Because like, why are you doing that?
Meanwhile, here it's been raining for the past like 3 or 4 days, man. It's been I haven't seen the sun in like 4 days. It's starting to drive me crazy. Like I want to see the sun.
Is it raining a lot?
Yeah, it's been raining for the past. So we got the remnants of a tropical storm. Like they had the golf tournament in Pennsylvania, and it got rained out on Sunday, and they had to finish on Monday. But it was raining like crazy, and then we got the remnants of that. So it was like little. It was like I feel like Sunday it was like just kind of overcast but not raining, and then Saturday it rained. Wait, I'm sorry. Saturday was when it was overcast but not raining. Then Sunday it rained. Monday it rained, and then Tuesday it rained and was overcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been like I want to see the sun. I don't think about how much I love it until it's gone, and then I'm like, oh, just give me. And I don't mind the occasion. Don't get me wrong. I actually kind of like the occasional, like gray day where it rains a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that, but it's got to be every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hit me with it like 4 days in a row because then I start to go crazy. And then I ask people like, send me your picture of the sun or whatever. Like, and people were sending me all these pictures from around the world.
For real?
I was like, oh, these are so beautiful. Like every picture looks so gorgeous. I was like, oh, that looks. I wish I was right there right now. Each one better than the next. Just like I got pictures from Turkey. I got pictures from fucking California. Just it was awesome. I really like looking at those pictures.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's nice to just fucking see the sun. It makes you happier. I know I like have a tendency to want to like work out more when it's nicer out. Like when it's dreary and gray you don't want to do shit.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's people in fucking Seattle live with that shit all the time.
Speaking of dreary, this is the opposite of that. But did you see so I was going to ask you, we'll talk about 9/11 in a second because I want to see if you remember what you were doing when 9/11 happened. But there was the 9/11 memorial today, and Trump was there. And there's a picture of him when he gets off, I guess, Air Force One or whatever. And he's walking with Melania behind him and some Secret Service guys. And he's doing a double, like, fist pump. And he's like, yeah, like he's doing this yes thing. And it's like, what the fuck? Everybody's like, what is he doing? And then I tweeted, that's when the Adderall hits. Because I think that actually might be like that is how somebody who's high as fuck on Adderall or something would react, because they're not like he's not tuned into the mood of the thing that he's about to go to.
Yeah.
So like he's just getting this rush of endorphins in his own head because he just did drugs. So it's like, yeah. And I really think that might be what it is. I mean, I was joking, obviously, and I have no evidence of it, but it strikes me that could be the case, because why else would you react like that?
Yeah, he's got to be taking something. I mean, like, it's just they say he takes the Propecia shit or whatever for his hair, but like, just
so do I.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he's got to be taking some, like, even if it's just vitamins or like something, he's got to be taking something that is giving him some energy boost. Because like, no human being can just do that much stuff and just be that giddy every single day.
At age fucking 75.
At age 75, like, you put a camera on me every single day. In the morning, I'm going to maybe be a little grungier than I am in the afternoon. I'm going to be tired in the afternoon. Like, this dude is under a camera 24/7. He's got to be taking some shit that, like, perks him up a little bit. So to your point, he probably just took some shit right when he got on the plane. He got off, that shit kicked in, and he fucking did his
That's what I'm saying. It really, I mean, I was joking, but it really could be that. I remember when I was on Rogan, that's what he said. He was like, they have the fucking, they know the exact pharmacy he went to get his basically amphetamines for weight loss. He took it, and it should help with that, actually. But the thing is, the guy who tweeted about it, he's known to be full of shit. The guy who tweeted about it, he was, I don't know if he still is, he was a journalist. His name's Kurt Eichenwald, and he's kind of like a known bullshitter. So it could just be wrong. But just from, with no evidence whatsoever, just looking at him from an amateur's eye, I would say, oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that dude was on some shit. Even if, let's say, he just had fucking chugged 2 espressos or some shit. Like, you're reacting like that, not just because you're not good at reading others' emotions and stuff, but also because you just had a little party in your head because you just took some sort of substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, to pivot to the more serious story, do you remember where you were on 9/11 when it was going down?
Well, I think we were in like 8th grade, Albert Leonard. And
you sure it was 8th? I thought it was 7th or 6th.
I thought it was 7th too. And then I asked my wife today, and she was like, she was in 7th. And she's a year younger than me. And I was like, no. I was in 7th.
I'm telling you, there's no way we were in 8th. Maybe 7th, but not 8th.
Okay, so I switched my shit because she seemed convincing, but she's wrong. We were in 7th grade.
Yeah, because honestly, my original thought was it was 6th. But
no, 7th and 100.
But I said maybe it was 7th, but I really thought it was 6th.
No, 7th.
7th, okay.
Okay, because I knew it was 7th, and then she tried to sway me on the shit, but she's wrong. I don't remember if I was in the cafeteria or in a class. I don't remember what class it was, but they made like an announcement.
What language did you take?
Spanish.
Okay, so never mind.
Yeah, no, it might have been like English class. If that was the shit or something with like Miss Bavosa or something like that. But like I don't have a crazy vivid memory like everybody does. But I knew we were in middle school and I always 7th grade, and she tried to fucking say that shit today. But they made an announcement on the loudspeaker that like it was a very weird announcement. I remember that they said like a bird had hit like the World Trade Center or something like that, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?" Like they were talking about birds on like the loudspeaker. And just today, I was talking to my wife's mom, and she had mentioned that they originally thought that birds had gotten to like the plane, and that's what caused it to crash into the World Trade Center. So maybe that's what they were reporting at Albert Leonard, like on the loudspeaker, that like birds had gotten to the plane or some shit, and that was the reason for the crash. So I mean, like we were young, I didn't know what to even think, but they had just sent us home. I went to a friend's house. We watched the news. Then as we're watching the news, the fucking next shit happened, So
I remember we were in Italian class. Mm-hmm. I guess it was 7th grade, even though I thought it was 6th, but I could see 7th. So we were in Italian class. Somebody walked in and like whispered in the ear of the teacher. Mm-hmm. What was his name? Mr. Fiorelli? Something like that. Something with an F. Fratelli, Fiorelli. Whatever.
I don't remember. I didn't know Italian teachers.
And I remember he was like, I have an announcement class. And then he said, there's a plane that hit the World Trade Center. And the first thing I thought of, well, first I was like, I don't, like, what does that even mean, kind of. But then I thought, like, it was kind of one of those, the small planes. Like, like the small planes. Like, I even kind of pictured, like, the old school planes that are almost like you're out in the open. Like, a person sits in it, and it's
maybe
small.
like a news type of shit.
I don't even know how to describe it, but I almost pictured, like, the old school, like, think of the first plane ever invented.
Like a Wright Brothers shit?
Yeah, the Wright Brothers type shit, where, like, somebody could sit in it on the outside, and, like, I don't know why I pictured that, like, I don't know, some kids fucking around, and, like, I'm going to play a prank, and then he ended up crashing into, like, that was my first thought. And this was before the second one had hit. So, again, we didn't really know what was going on. And then I think I vaguely remember now. I didn't remember it until you said it, actually, but I vaguely remember, it's time to go home type shit. Like, we all left early, so I was like, I don't know. I really didn't get what was happening. I was like, what's really happening? And then what I do remember is watching the news at home after with my mom and my sister. And I remember this because now looking back at it, you could see how, like, irrational a thought it is. But this is what happens to anybody in any country in a situation like that. I remember thinking, damn, I'm really happy that we have a president, and I'm really happy that our president is going to take care of this and like, fix it and, like, do something to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Boy, were you fucking wrong.
Boy, was I wrong is right. But I remember that, like, it was a very weird feeling right when it happened of, like, oh, shit. So this is an attack, that when we learned it was an attack, and I was like, damn, because that was a very like bubble bursting kind of moment because
I mean, we didn't know what terrorism really was,
well, exactly,
or anything like
because
that.
I thought of it. I tweeted about this earlier. When I was a kid, I kind of naively thought that like war was almost totally a thing of the past now. And like, oh, thankfully we learned our lesson that war is bad and like the world is relatively peaceful. Like I felt like, oh, that's kind of what it is, right? Like, oh, we're past that. Humanity is kind of past war. There might be little fighting here and there, but we're largely past it because we know how terrible it is. And I also thought we were past like the idea of the Great Depression. Like I thought like when we learned about the Great Depression in school way back, that it's like, oh, we're learning about this because we're learning how to avoid doing it again. Like we're learning it for history reasons, but also because it's like, and now we grew past that and we don't do that anymore because we know how terrible it was and the downside of it. So now I thought like people had really grown past a lot of the worst aspects of human nature. You know what I mean? And then that was a very key moment where I was like, oh shit, that's not true at all. Like that shit is still very much like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, so that was a defining moment, 9/11 for me. And then I remember the other two things that I feel like were defining for me. The Iraq War, 2003. I was 15 when I was 13 when 9/11 happened, 15 when the Iraq War happened, and then also the Great Recession. I feel like that was also a very defining moment for me. Those three things, 9/11, the Iraq War, and the Great Recession, were all instances where I was like, oh, okay, so now I totally see that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and it's on us to, like, we have to work really hard to try to make the world a better place because we're still, like, a bunch of idiots, and shit is really fucked up.
Yeah, but I think we had a different perspective to it just because, I mean, we were in New York. You know, I don't know how someone outside of New York, how they took it. I don't know if they got sent home from school or on what type of level, you know, other school administrators saw this as. You know,
did you know anybody who was in the building?
I didn't know.
I know one of my best friends, his dad lost a friend. So I didn't know the guy, but my best friend knew the guy. And the dude was a fireman.
Yeah, it's
and
nuts.
I forget, what was his name? I don't remember. I feel like they called him, they had a nickname for him. It was like Oreo or something like that. But, so I knew, like, oh, this is directly affecting me because my best friend knew somebody who died in there.
Yeah, I mean, my neighbor,
really wild.
My neighbor, her father, he either worked in the building or worked in the building next door or something like that. And it was one of those situations where they couldn't get in touch with him. And it turned out he ended up walking home from downtown Manhattan to you know, Westchester, where we lived at the time, which, I mean,
that's a super long walk.
It's a super long walk, but like, I can't imagine all the people that just couldn't get in touch with someone, or the feeling like on a such a small scale today. Like, I did a CrossFit workout and it was to honor, you know, September 11th. And they put a little stat up on the board in the front, and it just said there were like 340 something firefighters or 400 something that went into the building. Like, those people were so fucking courageous. Like, it's incredible to like look back as like being older and just seeing people fucking jumping out of like the building.
Oh my god, like, that broke my soul.
It's just like
to see people jumping out of a building. There are still pictures to this day, and there's still videos to this day of people. Literally, you see them plunge to their death.
Yeah,
it's like they made the decision: I either burn to death in here, or I jump out. And could you imagine? I can't imagine being in that situation.
I can't. And it's, I guess, like, I mean, for me personally, I feel like more connected to it. So, like I said, because we were in New York, and I knew people as I got older, that when I worked in the city and interned down there, who, you know, were older and were working in the city at that time, and they have these stories of like, they told us to evacuate, and, you know, ever since then, like, one guy pulled out a drawer and he had like a whole set of new change of clothes, and he was like, this is for if something were to happen again, because, you know, it was dusty, and like this is a change of clothes that this guy brought to work now just for the sake of terrorism happens again. So I mean, like, people outside of New York, I don't think they'll ever feel what it was like to be in New York during that time. But it was nuts. Like, you started to understand what was happening more later on in the day when they started saying that, like, there was another plane that was potentially
When
going
the
towards,
second one
like,
hit, it was like,
when the
oh,
second one hit, but then there was also like that other plane that got hijacked that like crashed
oh,
in
right.
Pennsylvania.
The Pentagon, and
Yeah, so
then
you're starting to
Shanksville,
think,
one went
yeah,
down.
so you're starting to think like, what the fuck is happening? Like all these planes are getting hijacked. And what's even eerie till this day, because I fly out of, I think they flew out of LaGuardia, maybe one of the airports, LaGuardia or JFK. I think it was LaGuardia. But like, it's still the same security checkpoint that these motherfuckers were going through,
I never
So it's
thought of
just,
that, to be honest. I never thought about where they took off from.
I
But that's
think it was
crazy because I've
LaGuardia,
flown out of LaGuardia before.
and it's the same like security checkpoint that these guys like walk through, and it's just like eerie. It's you get like this scary thing that right when these guys got through the security checkpoint, like imagine being the security like being the security checkpoint guy that day and having to live with yourself knowing that like they've watched the surveillance videos and you're the guy that
Yeah,
fucking
but
let these
there's no
people
way they
through.
could have known, man. There's no way. Because they didn't have, all they had was fucking
No, I
like
know.
box
Yeah, I'm not
cutters,
blaming them,
Yeah.
but like it's just having to live with yourself, knowing that like you were the person on watch that day when these people made it through
Yeah.
is scary.
And I have family that works in the city too, that worked in the city back then.
Hmm.
So it's like everybody knows it. Like you're very close to something that happened that was like a defining moment in American history.
Yeah,
And then of course, obviously the reaction to it was horrendous.
the
How
reaction and the what is it, repercussions of like firefighters years later who
Oh
got
yeah,
that like
those
disease.
dude. I did a segment on this on my last show with Jon Stewart. Just went on Fox News, and he spoke to Shep Smith. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a bill to give those 9/11 first responders health care because they're all getting sick, and it stalled. And then what happened was in 2010, Jon Stewart covered it, and he really like shamed the shit out of Congress. And what happened was Jon Stewart covered it, and it was a big deal and made a lot of news. And then Shep Smith the next day on Fox News covered it. So you got your bases covered in terms of ideology. You got Jon Stewart letting the left-wingers know, Shep Smith letting the right-wingers know. And then everybody was so angry and pissed off that they bombarded Congress with angry phone calls and emails and shit like that. And then what happened was they were able to actually get that bill through. But now that same bill is running out of money. And so Jon Stewart went on with a bunch of the first responders on Fox News this week and basically told the story. Like, okay, we need to re-up this. We need more funding for it.
Yeah.
And think about how nuts that is, man. Like, the health care for first responders for 9/11, and if it wasn't for Jon Stewart and Shep Smith, it wouldn't have even been passed in the first place because it was stalled. There were people who were objecting to it. Like, oh, it's too expensive. How are you going to pay for it? So what the fuck do you mean? These are people who ran into a burning tower to try to save lives.
Yeah.
And then we're breathing in fucking toxic dust from when the building collapsed. It
Jon
really
Stewart
is nuts.
He did something on his show where I think he had like 5 people on his panel or something like that.
Yep,
and they were
that's the
first
thing.
responders.
That's
but
it.
then like I think he did like 5 years later or something like that, and all the chairs were empty, and he was like they all passed away, and it was like the fucking saddest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
it was nuts.
terrible.
But I got a lot of respect for those firefighters down there that do that, that go into those fires, because it's so. The memory of just watching the news stations of like the plane flying into the second building, and the fact that like that shit happened, that like 2 huge buildings actually fell, was like mind-boggling. Like the size of those buildings, the impact it had on like the dust flying over all these places is crazy. Like the vision of, I remember seeing, they showed like the global view of the Earth,
Yeah,
and you can see the smoke from space.
yeah.
Was like, fuck, like what the fuck, like that is nuts.
Everything changed after 9/11. Everything changed.
Like, dude, the fact that you could see smoke from New York City, 2 buildings, from space was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And what if one building had fallen and not the other? How bizarre would it that would have just been fucking weird too.
Yeah, it was. There was one that didn't fall, right? Wasn't it? Oh no, it did, but it collapsed from fire or something, like
Oh,
the
really?
World Trade Center 7 or something like that.
Yeah, there's those eerie videos that like try to convince you that it was an inside job, and it shows like the side of the buildings, like it looks
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
little
yeah.
detonator.
When I was younger, I flirted with that stuff.
I mean, I mean, I spoke to my dad about this. He was in the Air Force, worked on planes and all this stuff, and I had something cross my mind that said like, I think it's like sort of weird to think that like these guys can get a plane with all this space in the air to fly into that side of the building, you know?
Oh no, they
I,
could do that for sure.
yeah, he said that should like that is the least of the problems, you
Yeah,
know,
you
like
could do
just
that.
or moving it like from side to side. But I'm still like, I don't know how you did that. Like I played a video game in Oregon of a flight simulator, and like it was an actual like flying shit. You had to do the fucking thing and move it. I crashed every time. It was like you can't stabilize this thing, and I don't see how flying a plane is just like
Nowadays, I think most
driving a
planes
car.
are on like autopilot, pretty much. Like they just have to take off, and then it's like you press a button, and
Yeah,
then
but even autopilot, the fact that like you have to get it into like they turned that shit and it went into the side of the building.
yeah.
Like
I mean, don't get me wrong. They went to flight school, so they knew how to fly.
yeah,
You know.
I guess.
Okay, so at risk of changing the topic too abruptly from a solemn conversation here,
Yeah, today was a
Um,
sad day.
I tweeted something that pissed off a lot of people that I wanted
What
to
was it?
talk about. So, and maybe I'm overstating it. I saw enough disagreement where I wanted to comment on it,
Mhm.
but a lot of people agreed. I mean, there were 572 retweets and 1,700 likes, so that's
God damn.
pretty good for me. So, like it's high numbers for me.
Mhm.
So I said the culture war is largely a distraction from the economic war. While we fight over Hollywood and social issues, billionaire oligarchs and corporations bribe and buy the government and rig the system in their favor and against the overwhelming majority of Americans.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah, so I think when people heard that, I think what they thought I was saying was that social issues and cultural issues don't matter. Like, I think that that's how a lot of people interpreted it. Because I called the culture war a distraction from the economic war. So I think when I say something like that, people hear like me saying, "Oh, social issues aren't important. Like they don't matter." But I wasn't really saying that. That's not really what I meant.
Yeah, I didn't hear it as that. I hear it as it's just not as important as.
Well, not, and I don't even necessarily mean that per se. What I feel like I mean, what I'm trying to say is, so elites. So take somebody like Trump for example.
Mhm.
He, anytime his back is in a corner, and like there's news out there that's like just paints him horrifically. He goes back to his greatest hits, and he loves it when we start fighting over,
The
whatever
national anthem protest.
national anthem, flag burning, even like religion, immigration,
Kanye West going berserk.
yeah, abortion, stuff like that. And so there's a reason why elites do that, because you're guaranteeing that you have a base of support when you do that, and you're deflecting the conversation from areas where we actually agree across the political spectrum. So when I say something like the culture war is largely a distraction from the economic war, what I mean by that is that's what the establishment wants you to do. The establishment wants you to fight over stuff like that. Like another example, I saw this the other day. What's her face? Scarlett Johansson was getting a lot of shit online because she accepted a role to play a transgender. Was it a woman or man? I don't remember. Trans woman or man? I don't remember which. But people were really pissed at her because they're like, how dare you
Take that role from someone?
Yeah, like trans people are already get such a raw deal, and then here's an opportunity for one of them to be hired to act, and you took it from them. And so there was like a lot of anger over that. And it's like, okay, it's not that I disagree with people on these issues necessarily. I think on some issues I do disagree, but on most of those cultural issues I agree with the left, if you will. But I know you want to comment on the Scarlett Johansson part of it.
Not even that.
Okay, not even that. Well, the point is, while we fight over those things, that's when the government is able to, that's when Congress passes a fucking insane tax bill that gives 83% of the benefits to the top 1% and cuts corporations' taxes and raises taxes on the middle class and the poor. And they do that, and that doesn't get nearly as much conversation as the sexy social issues stuff does. So while the left and the right fight on that, and we feel like, oh my God, the other side is my enemy, and they're terrible, and they're wrong, and I totally disagree with them on this issue, what that does is it sets up this dynamic that is hard to break free from, because you're so convinced that the people you're arguing with are such terrible people, and they're so bad, and there's no area of agreement, and you get this misimpression. Meanwhile, if we were to have a conversation about the economic stuff, we would realize, oh shit, we have a lot more in common than not, and we actually agree. Like, there was the new poll that came out recently, Medicare for All is majority favored, even among Republicans. So, a living wage, 80% of Americans want a living wage, for example. Only 17% of Americans still want to be in Afghanistan. So, these are all issues where people agree in the country, and they don't even know that they agree because we're too busy saying, I'm against Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, man. Well, I'm for Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Now, I'm not saying that I'm agnostic on that issue. No, I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'm very clearly on Colin Kaepernick's side, and I've said it a zillion times, and I'll continue to argue for that. But my point is, if we talk about that stuff ad nauseum, and if we lead with that stuff, then we're actually doing ourselves no favors, and we're hurting ourselves in the long run, because you should lead with the stuff where you know you're going to get agreement and you're going to build bridges, because then you can work towards solutions, number one, and actually get those solutions. But then number two, you've also established to the people who you would disagree with on some issues that you're actually a reasonable person. And then when you actually get to the cultural stuff, they'll go, oh, well, maybe he does have a point, because we were just talking about a living wage and we agree on that. We were just talking about unions, we agree on that. We were just talking about healthcare, we agree on that. So now maybe when they say, oh, Colin Kaepernick should have this ability to express himself, and it really is free speech, and should a private company...
You've already agreed on 4 of the things before that.
Right, exactly. So I feel like that was the point I was making, but people, I think they thought I was saying the cultural issues, the social issues don't matter.
But that's just an example of them doing the same shit that you're tweeting about.
And that's the ultimate point, which is you're proving, if you're getting really mad at me over that, you're only proving my point further. Because what you're saying is, I disagree with you so much about this social issues thing. And it's like, well, that was my point. My point is that they love it while we fight over the social issue stuff, because now we're not talking about the shit where we agree and we can get something done.
Yep.
And
I think the point is that the conversation is in the wrong place. Like I saw on Good Morning America today, which is starting to piss me the fuck off. Like the news stories they talk about, like they have such an opportunity to like showcase shit that actually matters. Their platform is so fucking big that they cover these news stories that are just so like, it's just that it's what you're talking about. It's just stupid stories that don't matter. It's just, they had James Vanderbeek today. They had a whole big discussion about his wife had 3 miscarriages, and he wants everybody to stop using the word miscarriage, because it portrays the wife as doing something, or the mother is doing something wrong.
Does it? Whereas I don't even perceive from that.
They had some lady talking on, like some health lady on, talking about the actual term is, this, and people started using miscarriage, and it's not even the right, word. But it's like, if you start with like the healthcare issue that some people aren't even fortunate enough to like have an abortion or something like that, you start on a higher ground than starting with just like the conversation of, should we fucking take the word miscarriage out of our vocabulary? It's like, it's such a shit. It's a thing that no one even thinks about, that like they bring this conversation out to people and they start thinking about it and they cause conversation. And it's just a conversation that We don't even really need to have. I've never thought of miscarriage as a bad word. But now Good Morning America is on TV saying, is it a bad word? And it's just like, it's a conversation you have to have now when the conversation of healthcare is just forgotten. Like,
Yeah.
why not have that fucking conversation and make people think about that rather than think about some other shit that you got to put in their head of like, don't use the word miscarriage now. And then like miscarriage becomes this fucking like taboo word that you can't say anymore. And that's
Yeah.
what happens with all these fucking words. It's
Yeah.
just these smaller conversations that build up that cause more people to fight. When in reality, it's like, is it that big of a deal?
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe to some women it is, but like,
see, I agree with you on that. Like, there are some specific culture war issues where I think they're kind of wholly made up and like silly, if anything. But there are aspects of the culture war that I think are like for example, part of the culture war was getting gay marriage, getting gay rights, and that's an area where I think the left is 100% correct, and I think it makes sense to fight on those grounds. But again, even with that issue, we can win on that issue, but we can get more people to agree on that issue if you lead with the stuff where you're going to get your opposition to kind of disarm. You see what I'm saying by that?
yeah.
That, like, if you lead with the stuff where you can get the other side to agree with you, that when you get to the culture stuff where there might be genuine disagreement, like there's real disagreement over religion, for example. Like, there are a lot of people who are super religious in this country and super Christian, And then me, I'm not religious. So we're always going to clash on that one. We're always going to disagree on that one. Abortion, there's always going to be some disagreement between the left and the right on the issue of abortion. And strong disagreement where people are like, no, I think it's murder and I'm pro-life, and no, well, it's a woman's choice, and yeah. So there are areas where there's real disagreement. And I'm not saying you disarm and don't fight those battles. But what I am saying is, if you lead with the stuff where it's like, hey, man, just to let you know, we actually agree on this one. We're both getting fucked. Those are the people that are fucking us. And this is how we fix it. And then they'll go, you know what? I kind of agree with you on that issue. Well, then when you get to the stuff where you're arguing, and we might never agree, but when you get to the stuff where you're arguing, you've at least already achieved the stuff where you did agree.
Yeah.
Like the Medicare for all and the free college and the living wage and stuff like that. So I just want to give another example of what I meant by this. So Donald Trump, he loves using the issue of immigration. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't actually believe what he says about it, because I think he probably does. I think he probably is a hardline, like far-right guy on the issue of immigration. But I think he puts that front and center because it's easy to gin up his base that way. And so it's really a divide and conquer strategy, because what he does is, and the Republicans, this has been their trick for a really long time, you make middle class and poor white people think that the reason why they're living such shitty lives and they have no hope and they're desperate and their economic situation is horrendous, you make them think that the reason for that is not that rich people have been fucking them and rigging policies in favor of themselves and against regular people. You make them think that, the reason why your situation is so shitty is that poor immigrant that just came in the country. The reason why your situation is so shitty is because of that black guy in affirmative action. The reason why your situation is so shitty is because all these people of color and these minorities. So that's divide and conquer right there. So he's putting immigration front and center because he's making white people think the problem is poor people of color, when it's not. The problem is the rich who are screwing over those middle-class whites, and it's the rich who outsourced your jobs. It's the rich who bought the government and rigged the tax code in their favor. It's the rich who forced your tax money to go bail out Wall Street. So when I say that the culture war is a distraction, that's what I mean. I mean that they are using it as a distraction, because when you talk about that, then people on the left and the right will actually clash and go, left will go, I'm for immigration. What are you talking about? The right will go, I'm against immigration. What are you talking about? Whereas if we put the culture war stuff aside and go, okay, listen, here's the real situation. Here's where we agree, Medicare for all, free college, living wage, so on and so forth. Then I think you even get to a point where when you get to the immigration argument, you can point out what I just said, and they might actually understand now and agree with it. And go, you know what, you're right. It's really not poor immigrants that put me in the situation I'm in. In fact, I have more in common with the immigrant than I do with the fucking billionaire who just robbed us. So that's how you build solidarity, is my point. Is by acknowledging that there's a game being played on us, and the game is we want you to keep fighting on those social issues. We want you to keep fighting the culture war so that you never realize you have more in common, because when you realize you have more in common, then there's real solidarity, even across the political spectrum, to get real solutions for Americans, and you actually win when you do that.
Yeah. I'm surprised a lot of people were pushing back on your thing, because I feel like the people who follow you would agree with that,
A lot of them do agree with it, but I think a lot of other people, when I say that, what they hear me saying is the social issues don't matter. The social issues, the cultural issues don't matter. That's what they think I'm saying. But I'm not really saying that, because, again, so what do I mean by social issues? Well, I would call immigration a social issue. I would call abortion a social issue.
Yeah, but some of the social issues of that the news covered, like Ellen DeGeneres fucking flossing or doing some dance move.
Well, that's the other one.
Not a social issue.
No, I would consider, when I say the culture wars and the social issues, so yeah, some of that stuff I do mean. Like I mentioned the Scarlett Johansson thing. I mentioned the shit that happens on college campuses where people try to protest speakers and stuff. And like I said, there's some narrow areas where I disagree with the left. Like I'm for free speech, and I'm in favor of anybody speaking on these college campuses. So there are some narrow areas where I disagree on the cultural stuff. But by and large, when you actually get down to the policy stuff, I agree with the left on the social issues and in the culture wars. But I think my point is, there's a reason why really powerful people want you to continue to focus on that stuff. Trump loves nothing more. Trump is so happy when Colin Kaepernick talk is happening, because that makes his base get fired up, and they love it when he does that. It's like Trump's playing his greatest hits when he goes to the stand for the anthem bullshit.
Yep.
Now, again, do I agree with Trump on that? Fuck no, I don't agree with him on that. And I've done 1,000 segments where I rip him on that. But my point is, you have to lead with the stuff where you're going to get people to agree with you, because you're going to actually get stuff done when you do that. And then, yes, we can talk about the culture war stuff, and we can genuinely argue for our position, but just know going into it that that's not an area where you're gonna win necessarily. You're gonna win right away. Those are the arguments that take time. Those are the arguments that it's not a flawless victory. What I'm saying is, if we have not 1,000, but let's say we have 6 issues where it's a flawless victory because the polls already show the people are with us. Lead with those issues. And here's why this conversation is important too that we're having, because this all gets down to how do you get power? How do you run your campaigns? Which is why I've always said I'm populist left, because when you focus on the populist issues, that's where you get the left and the right agreeing. So you serve the Democratic base, you serve so-called moderate Democrats who are voters, and you also get independents and even some Republicans. So you have to... This is how you win, is my point. You're never going to win. Imagine somebody who's a Democrat who's running a campaign, and all they talk about are the contentious culture issues and social issues. How are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to get their ass handed to them.
Yeah, policy related.
And the same thing applies to, like, if you're a political kind of person and you're involved in organization or whatever, and you're involved online in political circles, if that's all you're going to talk about is the cultural stuff, it's going to be counterproductive, because it's like you want to play for a side and be on a team, and you're actually not interested in winning in terms of actually getting change in society and getting the policies implemented that we need implemented.
I feel like Trump, all he talks about is the cultural stuff, and he wants...
Well, there's a reason for that, because he actually does not agree with the overwhelming majority of Americans on the important economic stuff. He's a puppet of Wall Street for the economic stuff. So for him, in the position he's in, what he's trying to do is, I need to gin up my base, and I need to get my base to get my back. How do I get my base to get my back? Go to my greatest hits, harp away on the social issue stuff, and then
Fake
that's
news.
how I get my support. But that's my point, is that, like, so does somebody want to be a mirror image of Trump and be, like, hey, I'm in the culture war and I'm on the other side, and that's all I'm going to talk about? Well, congratulations, getting pats on the back and kudos from your same circle of people and never expanding that circle of people and never actually winning and getting the stuff we actually need implemented.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm not saying you go down the list of the left-wing social issues, I'm pretty much in agreement with on the policy stuff, like pretty much in lockstep. But the question is, how do you win? And the way you win is take yes for an answer on the issues where we're already winning in terms of the numbers. And then on the issues we disagree, yes, we're going to have that debate, we're going to have that discussion, we're going to have that disagreement. But since you led with the stuff where we already get a Mortal Kombat flawless victory, then we might actually get somewhere even on those contentious social issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense. I think also as a society, and you probably have more conversations with people than I do, but something that, just listening to Rogan, and especially when you were on Rogan, there was one point where he had said a point that you agree with. You rarely hear people in like conversations just say to someone like, yeah, I agree with that point, or, oh, you swayed me, I changed my mind, that actually makes sense. We don't do that anymore. Like, nobody agrees with anybody on their point. It's like everybody just has their point and is not open-minded enough to like change their thought process, because we have these things in our mind that we believe, and if someone tells you something else, you just automatically disagree with it. Whereas like I think people just need to start, like, I wonder all those people that disagreed with you on your Twitter fucking thing, if now hearing what you say, maybe they change their mind and put a comment on there like, oh wow, that makes sense, I agree with you now.
Don't get me wrong, I do think that some people are still going to disagree, and I think what they'll say is, they might say they don't care if those issues are not issues where we're going to win right away. Because I know the most reasonable response to what I'm saying is all those issues are important, full stop. Like, there are people who believe all those issues are important, full stop, and that's the end of the conversation. But
the way we
my
talk
rebuttal
about
to that
it, though.
is, yeah, my rebuttal to that is the way you win is to do the opposite of approaching it in that way. The way you win is to say, hey, listen, here's where we agree, and now let's fight together to get these things where we agree. And then, sure, there's going to be areas where we disagree, and fine, we disagree on those things. I'm going to argue my position, you argue your position, and we'll see what happens. But I think that I see a lot of leading on the cultural stuff and the social stuff, and it's like, I just think that's such a terrible strategy. Because it's taking the most contentious stuff where there really is disagreement and saying, okay, let's put all of our energy here, and then I just don't think you're going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I think on a much smaller scale is like when you're like you meet someone, and I mean they could be whatever, black, white, Spanish, Republican, Democrat. You try to find a common ground to like just open up with a conversation. So whether it's just like, hey, the weather's nice outside, and then it's like, oh yeah, it is, and then you have that common ground of like, okay, the weather's good, that's our starting point, and we'll finish our conversation from that point on. So it's like you find somewhere to connect with this person on, something that you both agree on, and then the rest of your conversation feeds off of that. And it's probably like that on the politics level that you're talking about. Find something we agree on, and then work our way down.
That's a great point. That's basically kind of what I'm advocating for in the political realm. And I think the thing is, I've seen the effects of just barking stuff at people, and it doesn't seem to work that well. I mean, it's much easier to do exactly what you described. Like, oh, you meet somebody, you talk to them, you're friendly with them, they're friendly with you, you find some areas where you can agree, and you can grow on that, and then you might hit
push
a bridge.
It a little bit and be like, hey, you want to try some weird shit in bed?
You might hit a bridge where you're like, oh shit, this is not an area where we agree. But since you've already developed, there's enough there already that's developed where it's like, okay, well now we can have this discussion as reasonable people who disagree, and then we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I want to. A lot of good people disagreed with me, so I want to. I heard out their position, and I'm trying to digest their position. But I think my whole point was I'm not making a value judgment as to what's more important or less important. I'm just saying that almost as like a dry observation that like, oh, if you actually want to have success, here's what you do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that some people think those issues are so important that they're just like, let's focus on this and let's fucking talk about this. And it's like, okay, you could do that. But I'm just saying you're playing into the game that the elites want you to play in because they know that that's not going to work the way you're doing it. Yeah. Whereas what I'm saying is actually going to work. What I'm saying is going to work. So that's why I felt like the point I was making was just more of an observation than anything else. Mm-hmm. And people were taking it as me like stating some sort of an opinion. I'll read it again. It says, the culture war is largely a distraction from the economic war while we fight over Hollywood and social issues. Billionaire oligarchs and corporations bribe/buy the government and rig the system in their favor and against the overwhelming majority of Americans. So, in other words, that's me saying there's genuine, real solidarity on social issues, not even just among the left, but what I'm saying is on those left-wing policy positions, there could even be independent and right-wing solidarity with those left-wing positions. But if you lead with the culture war, you're never going to get that solidarity, which is really already there if you would just fucking take yes for an answer and acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, again, I think some people would say, well, why would you even... Like, you shouldn't even want to align with somebody who might be against abortion, for example. I think that's something somebody might say. You shouldn't even want to align with somebody who's against immigration, you know?
But that's not the point you agree with them on. You could agree with them on a higher level, right?
No, exactly. Well, that's my point, is right. I don't agree with them on those issues. Mm-hmm. But if you want to win, you're going to have to, work with people who you disagree with on a lot of issues. Because there are going to be some issues where you agree with them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how you actually win. You're not going to win it by, let's have everybody who already 100% agrees with me on everything implement what we want to implement. Well, you don't have the numbers for that. Because it's politics. You don't have the numbers for that.
That's why I don't think Trump's going to win again. Because I think the people that just are with him on everything, his little base of weirdos, that anything he says, anything he does, I don't think that's enough to win again. I think that's a small number of people that, like, I mean, they'll vote for him again, obviously, because anything he does, anything he says, they're with him, they're behind him, but that's not enough people. And that's to your point. If you just straight cater to the people that just agree with you on every single thing, you'll never win because you're not changing other people's minds. You're not getting other people to vote for you. You're just catering to fucking people that you already have their vote.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to win again. Looking at the polls now, he is in trouble. I mean, obviously the most important factor is who the fuck's going to be running against him. Because, again, the point I always make when it comes to Trump is he's a relentless salesman of himself.
Yeah.
So, and he's going to attack the shit out of whoever the Democrat is. And he's going to make his case, even though his case is going to be riddled with bullshit and lies and stuff. During the election, he's going to do that. But you're right. Your core point is correct, which is his base of people that will never leave him, 25%, 30% of the country might be, they're solidly there. But how many of those other people have you lost? And
I don't think he's convincing anybody else now that he's doing, like he's not getting someone who's on the fence to, buy into his shit. He's got his people and that's who he's got.
Yeah, he's got that hardcore base of people. And it's hard to find somebody who's like, yeah, my opinion of him is mixed. It's mostly people who are like, fuck him. Yeah. And the people who are like, he was sent from God.
Yeah. I'm still tired of people not being mad at fucking George Bush like today. Like the fact that like ESPN is running this like 9/11 documentary thing and turning him out like he's this fucking good guy who threw a great pitch at Yankee Stadium.
ESPN was portraying Bush as a good guy?
Yeah, there's like this whole documentary thing on, and like he had a whole segment of like he threw a bad pitch at a Brewers game like 2 weeks before 9/11, and then he came out at 9/11 and threw this great pitch, and everybody was loving him, and like how he went down to ground zero and said whatever he said through the fucking microphone. It's like the guy really fucked us over on 9/11, and like anybody who was president probably could have brought us together by just saying some generic ass shit like we're got to be stronger as a country. Like fucking Kermit the Frog could have been our president.
To be fair, the polls were like he had like a 90% approval rating right after 9/11.
But that's what I'm saying. Anybody would have, because as a fucking country, we come together.
Yeah, people just go, oh shit, we were attacked. Where's our leader?
Yeah, or not even that. It's like we were attacked. Let me be nice to my neighbor today because, like, God forbid this. We're just creatures of that moment. So when something bad happens, when something as terrible as Sandy Hook happens or the Las Vegas shooting, everybody in Las Vegas, conservative, Republican, fucking gun rights guy, the janitor, probably got hit off with amazing tips from people on that night, like the next week. Because it's like, shit, man, that was fucking scary. I could have lost my life. Like, people care about themselves. And they're like, I could have lost my life. So let me be a fucking nice person for 2 weeks. And then it's the same shit that happened to me. I watched fucking Super Size Me and how they were fucking beating up cows and fucking up chickens and all this shit. And I was like, I'm never going to eat fast food again. And then 2 weeks went by and I was like, fuck it, man. I'm going to eat some fast food. Like, I'm a creature of that moment I watched the movie. It's the same shit that happened with 9/11. Something extremely terrible happened. So we all fucking rally together. We don't care who the fuck was our president. We're just looking for someone to say some positive shit.
Yeah, that's true. And there was a memo on Bush's desk a few months before 9/11 happened. And it said, Bin Laden determined to attack the United States.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this guy had fucking warning signs out the wazoo, but he's a fucking hero because he went down to ground zero after
apparently,
the fucking towers had fell down.
Clinton had regular meetings about Bin Laden because they thought like, oh shit, this guy's going to do something.
Well, Bin Laden did the bombing that Biggie talks about in that song, like blow up like the World Trade. That was Bin Laden who put a bomb.
93?
Yeah, whenever that shit was. Wasn't that
really?
Bin Laden?
I don't think it was. Let me check.
There was like a bomb in the parking lot or something like that. I thought they said Bin Laden was behind that.
Center bombing Bin Laden. Let's see. All right. According to Wikipedia, the ever-trusty Wikipedia, the 1993 World Trade Center bombing was a terrorist attack on the World Trade Center carried out February 26, 1993, when a truck bomb detonated below the North Tower. The 1,336-pound urea nitrate hydrogen gas-enhanced device was intended to send the North Tower crashing into the South Tower, bringing both towers down. That didn't work out. It failed to do so, but killed 6 people and injured over 1,000. The attack was planned by a group of terrorists, including Ramzi Youssef, Mahmoud Abu Halima, Mohammed Salameh, Salameh, however you say it. Nidal
Scalabib.
Scalabib. Abdul, he's an old poker player, for those of you who don't know. None of them know, and I said it like for those of you who don't know. Abdul Rahman Yassin and Ahmed Ajaj.
I think Abdul
they
Rahman.
received funding from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Okay, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was in Al-Qaeda. So, yeah.
So was he connected to Bin Laden?
I think so. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. I don't know. I think Bin Laden was maybe too young for this. But Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, he was the mastermind of 9/11, and it says they received funding from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. In March 1994, 4 men were convicted of carrying out the bombing. The charges included conspiracy, explosive destruction of property, yada yada. Yeah, have you ever seen the Oklahoma City bombing Netflix special?
No.
Man, it was good. It's a good Netflix documentary about the Oklahoma City bombing.
I know there's a whole show like Waco that is some type of connected to the Oklahoma City bombing, like Waco, Texas.
No, Waco was the Branch Davidian thing. Where...
Yeah, but they said there was some connection to the Oklahoma City shit.
Oh yeah, that what's his face who did the
Timothy
McVeigh, who did the Oklahoma City bombing. He had gone to the Waco thing when there was the standoff with the federal government.
Oh really?
And he was like a spectator because there were people who were like miles away who kind of like parked on a ridge or something and watched everything unfold. And Timothy McVeigh was one of the people who showed up there, and he was becoming like an anti-government extremist kind of guy.
Okay.
And like he said that was one of the things that radicalized him, or at least the documentary said that was one of the things that radicalized him to want to do like a terrorist attack against the United States. Is he's like, look at how evil this government is. They just fucking firebombed and invaded and basically killed all these people inside this, it was a cult, but inside this building here,
It's also crazy to think that, like, I mean, like, we should be remembering 9/11 today and every 9/11. But, like, what about all these other mass shootings that, like, I don't...
Well, not just the other mass shootings. What about all of the deaths that the innocent civilian deaths that were caused by the reaction to 9/11?
What do you mean by that? Like,
I mean, when we fucking offensively invaded Iraq, a country that didn't fucking attack us, and then we killed a minimum 200,000 innocent civilians.
Yeah, we'll never.
We don't even care about them because whatever, they're not American, so they don't count. And we carried it out, so furthermore, really doesn't count.
Yeah,
like that's the thinking. The thinking is like, sorry, I mean that makes us look bad, so we're not going to even think about that. But those are the deaths we're directly responsible for.
Yeah, well, that's why, like, when we meet with Putin, it's like, we're fucking just as bad as that motherfucker, if not worse. Like, we're killing way more people than that motherfucker has. And what about all military men and women that die?
When Trump made that point, everybody flipped out. Trump was like, what he said it on, like, Bill O'Reilly's show or something, because he had said some weird, like, kind of praising shit of Putin, and then O'Reilly followed up with him, and he was like, he said Putin's a killer, and then Trump goes, yeah, he's a killer. What do you think, we're angels? You think we haven't killed? There are a lot of killers, Bill. And then everybody's like, oh my God, how dare he say something like that?
Is he wrong? Like, well,
exactly. See, that's the point, because, and I tweeted about this the other day, it's like, the people who get angry at that kind of a thing, they really believe that when we massacre innocent civilians, when we do torture, when we spy on people without a warrant, it's really not as bad as if somebody else does it because we mean well. Like, that's the underlying thing, is like people give themselves a pass. And it's like, well, that's my government. So when we do it, it's a little different. When they do it, they're evil fucking rogue actors who are terrorists who are wrong. When we do it, it's like, okay, maybe we made some mistakes. That's the word people use. We made some mistakes. But sure, a couple 100,000 people died, and we tortured innocent people, and babies were killed. And
it's like an abusive husband beating the shit out of his wife, and the wife coming out and just being like, but he loves me, and he means well.
Yes, it is kind of like that. Like,
nobody's beating the shit out of you.
I kind of deserved it. I spoke back. It's like, whoa, what the fuck are you? You're rationalizing it just because it's your husband. People rationalize our violence because it's our government. So I think, well, when we do it, listen, man, we're the world police. We're trying to fight for the Enlightenment values. We believe in equality and justice. And it's like, well, hold on. You're throwing around flowery words, but don't you think every empire ever told those same pretty little lies to themselves also as they were doing barbaric actions? Like, every empire ever was like, oh, no, it's okay. I know we killed a lot of innocent people, but, I mean, listen, we meant well. Like, we're trying to spread the proper values all around the world. So when we do it, it doesn't really, it's like, we have such good intentions that it's okay.
And it's just on some childish level shit. Like, not even just for Trump, but like Obama. Like, we're not supposed to talk to other world leaders at all? Like, what if they're trying to fucking settle some problems or some shit?
That's the shit. Dude, I don't know. There was a story that really scared the shit out of me the other day. So, and it's linked to something that just happened now. So Trump tweeted some shit like thanking Kim Jong-un because Kim Jong-un took like the long-range missiles out of his military parade or something. And so Trump was like praising him like, oh, he's doing this because he wants to show that he's willing to work with Donald Trump in the United States. And we're going to make the world so happy because we're going to show them that two people that like each other could work together. He said something like that. And like people were going after him and they were like, how dare you say to such a brutal dictator that you like him and all this stuff. But that's the thing. That doesn't bother me, because what does bother me is the shit that happened previously, which was Trump was about to tweet something like, oh, we're taking all Americans who are in South Korea out of South Korea. He was going to tweet about that. Like, we're calling home all Americans who are in South Korea. And at the very last minute, his administration intervened and they said, you cannot tweet that. If you tweet that, North Korea will view that as definitive proof that we are about to do an imminent attack against them. So if Trump tweeted that, North Korea goes, why would you take Americans out of South Korea unless it's because you're going to attack us and you think we're going to attack back? So they'll think, oh, fuck, launch on South Korea. So because of one fucking wrong Trump tweet, we could have started a fucking hot war. So that's the shit that scares me. For all I care, Trump can fucking blow Kim Jong-un all day long on Twitter. Kim Jong-un can fucking blow Trump in press releases. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if they hold hands and frolic in the meadow. As long as we don't have fucking war, that's all I care about. So that's the shit that scares me. That shit scares me. Is that we literally were on the brink of being tweeted into a war. And
it doesn't even scare. It's like the global warming shit scares me so much. The beginning of these news stories, like watching fucking like Kelly and Ryan Seacrest. That's my shit. They had like some fucking weatherman come on and explain the whole storm and like
wait, dude, hold
evacuation.
on. We have to talk about this for a second. You watched fucking the Today Show, right? Or was it Good Morning America? It was Good Morning America. You watched Good Morning America and what's the other one? Fucking
Kelly and I watched down the line. I watched Good Morning America, Kelly and Ryan, then The View, and then the new show with Michael Strahan and the blonde bitch.
I love how in some ways you're such an American. Like that is such an American fucking lineup right there.
No, but my thing is I hate Kelly and Ryan so much.
Well, I know I despise Ryan Seacrest. Kelly,
I hate it.
I don't even know.
But I watch
Kelly.
it every fucking day I'm home, which is the weirdest shit ever. Because it's the most awkward show. I hate it. The show sucks.
Yeah, you seem like you wouldn't even like. You might have that on, but you wouldn't even pay attention. You actually pay attention to it?
I pay attention to The View more. I fuck with The View because I like Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar or whatever.
Yeah, I like them more than the others.
Yeah, but like the McCain girl pisses me the fuck off because she's just a phony.
That's their role, man. The role of the Republicans on the panel is like, okay, they're the heels, like wrestling, babyface and heels.
Yeah,
they're the heels where the audience is like, I don't know about that.
Isn't it so weird that shows? I mean, like have people come on and they play these roles. It's like when Fox News brings you on, they think you're gonna just be that like left-wing guy,
pushover liberal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they have it set up on the stage. It's like moderated in the middle, conservative guy on the left, like fucking liberal on the right, and it's just like, okay, speak to your points.
By the way, like, I'm gonna upset everybody now, but I have to bring it up because you mentioned it. Fox invited me again, and this time I was like, I don't think so.
Seriously?
Yeah, because
I told you they were going to invite you back. You thought like because the guy didn't write whatever.
No, you're right. They did invite me back, but I was
why
like,
aren't you
I
doing
don't know about that. Because it's half a day, and they don't give you shit. They don't seriously. They don't give you shit, and I'm like, listen, man. They need me more than I need them. I don't need them. I have a giant
should
platform.
Give you some shit.
I have a giant platform that's my own platform. Mm-hmm. So I don't need you. What, you want me to fucking go? But I must admit that the last one was so good that I don't even know if I'd be able to top it also. So I was like, what's the point? Mm-hmm. I was already on twice.
Is it the same guy's show?
I think so. I think this one was the same guy's show. But I told you I had spoken to there was another producer who was like, really? Oh, give me your information. Maybe we'll get you on some panel show or something. I was like, all right.
Were you surprised about the CBS like fucking executive guy who got caught up in this whole sexual shit, Les Moonves or whatever?
The fucking super powerful like CEO.
I know.
Old school dudes who were probably in the office in like 1965 also.
Yeah.
It's like they just feel entitled.
He probably, I mean, his shit came out months later. He probably was just fucking praying like these past few months, like, oh fuck, I hope nothing comes out.
Did you read the details? I didn't, but I heard that they were bad. I heard he was just
grabbing asses and shit like that.
I thought it was worse than that. I thought it could be. But I really don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. These guys, like, take away their fucking title and their position, they're getting no buns. Like, the fact that they think that they can get all these like gorgeous women
Doesn't
or
that
men, whatever
upset?
the fuck they're
The
into.
crazy thing is that doesn't put them off to it either. They're not
I know.
like the only reason why I'm getting anything is because of who I am. They don't
Yeah.
care. They're like, as long as I'm getting it, I don't give a fuck.
It makes it more fucking eerie and like
Yeah,
just
it's fucking
weird.
creepy because it's not. It's like fake. It's based on some fake shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just your title. Wow, do you feel good about yourself? Like you could feel fucking comfortable and okay in that situation? I'd feel
Oh,
like a scumbag. I'd be like, I don't even want to fucking do this. I feel
I know.
gross.
Oh man. But I mean, fucking CBS will still be fine. That guy will still be fine. He'll fucking won't get any jail time. He'll go to like some resort, say he's
Yeah, he's
fine,
not
and
gonna.
come back
It's
and be
not.
okay.
Yeah,
You know, like
it's
they
not.
just want Harvey Weinstein. That's the motherfucker that
Yeah,
they want.
rich, powerful people rarely are there real consequences for them.
No, I mean, there'll be one scapegoat person
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah. Like
fucking
Bernie
really.
Madoff. They did that with Bernie Madoff. Oh,
Yeah,
this guy's fucking. Look, he's a big money fucking criminal. We got him. Don't look at the fucking institutional crimes.
yeah. What about all the fucking other guys that were probably
Yeah,
stealing way more money than that motherfucker?
nobody went to jail for the Great Recession.
No.
The Great Recession, like the subprime mortgage crisis. Nobody did. And
I
the whole.
bet you if they fucking put a camera on Bernie Madoff right now, he's probably doing all right in prison. I don't think he's getting like fucking.
Yeah, it depends what kind of prison he's in. If he's in one of those rich people club, fucking med club, whatever things, then he's fine.
He'll definitely die in prison though. But like, they should do a follow-up story on that motherfucker just to
I'm
see.
sure
Like,
somebody will at some point.
imagine he's all tatted up and like running a gang in prison now. He's like doing like his
Oh
money
my
laundering
God.
shit in prison with like some cigarettes or whatever.
They show him like crip walking or something.
Yeah, they're like big Madoffs in the back. He want to talk to you. It's like, hey, come here.
Big
Let me
Big
talk.
Maid. I was gonna say Little Maid, but that's not. That's a rapper name more than anything. So what were you gonna say about Kelly and Ryan? Were you gonna say something? I feel like I cut you off at some point.
Um, I don't know.
We hate
but
them. That was
I do hate the show, but I watch it. I watch it a lot. And like my aunt
hate
used to
watch
know,
it.
she knows Gelman, like the producer or director of the show or some shit. So every time I'm in New York, I want to go to that shit. But like,
you
I
haven't
never
been able to yet.
No, I haven't. We were gonna go one time, but I couldn't have gone. But I don't know. Sometimes those shows are good to watch, but that's where I find out all these fucking stupid cultural stories of like James Vanderbeek getting mad about the word fucking miscarriage or like
I
they
don't
had some-
I still don't get like why he thinks that paints it in a negative way because it has the word "miss" in it.
I don't know, but it's like a big thing supposedly on Twitter. He fucking put all these tweets out saying like, it's not my wife's fault. She lost a baby.
But nobody's
and
saying it is.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's like they bring this conversation there when who fucking said anything about his wife being like the reason that they lost a baby, you know?
Yeah, like nobody's gonna put you down for a miscarriage. Everybody feels sympathy.
I know. It's just weird. And then Jimmy Kimmel gave some fucking family a car because some guy recorded his wife having a baby on the way to deliver the baby. She had the baby in the car.
Oh, so it was all gross.
I didn't watch the video, but it was news, and fucking Jimmy Kimmel picked it up, and she got a fucking brand new caravan out of that shit.
That must be so. Giving birth in a car, giving birth at all. Could you imagine giving birth?
No, but I watched that shit.
Ah, it must hurt so much. Oh my god. Oh my god, it must hurt so much. I feel like I would prefer to get a C-section if I was a girl, but
Ugh, I don't
according
think
to
so.
my sister, no, because that's major surgery, and then you're kind of not bedridden, but you got to be very careful for a certain amount of time afterwards.
Yeah, but I mean, if you give birth like naturally, it's okay. But if you rip, like if your hoo-ha rips, that shit sucks.
But how does it not fucking rip? You're having a giant
'Cause-
human being squeezed out of your fucking vagina.
Now, if your doctor is nice, like they tell you to push at the right time, so like that shit contrasts back in, and then you put. I don't fucking know, man.
I
It's
heard,
fucking wild.
and this isn't to gross anybody out, but it's almost like guaranteed tearing.
No, not always. My wife didn't tear. People are telling me. People are telling me that you tear.
No, but that's what I thought, because how it's so hard to get the baby to.
Oh, I know. You would think it's like right off. It's like fucking jumping in like suit pants. If you jump or bend over, it's a wrap. Your whole shit, the whole back of your pants are gonna split.
Yeah.
You try doing anything in some dress pants, like you try and bend over and pick some shit up, it's over. Your pants are done.
It's just like, what a terrible design. The human
dress
body.
Dress pants or a vagina?
No, vagina. The human body. The human
and
body.
Dress pants.
And dress pants, of course. But the human body seems like, why wouldn't you want to make it a little different where...
Yeah, like make it come out of your mouth or something is even bigger than your fucking vagina.
I don't know about all that.
Imagine
throwing up a baby.
Like, why does it come out there? Why doesn't it come out through your mouth?
But why would the same hole or holes right next to each other be responsible for, like, oh, you pee out of that hole and you give birth, like, right there, kind of?
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, that's the hole where you fuck. It's like, fuck, pee, have a baby. It's all just same thing. We just threw it all right there. Roughly. Same spot.
Oh.
It just...
I saw on Instagram, switching the subjects, it was like a promotion for The Walking Dead, and it made me think, like, this show is still going on, and it was like some advertisement that I watched, and I was just like, I don't even give a fuck what is happening on this show. Like, they showed like Carol holding up a knife again at somebody, and then like someone took a beheading thing off, like, and there was a zombie underneath it, and I was just like, I can't believe this show is still a fucking thing. I hate that show.
That gradually escalated to finally you hate it. Yeah, I mean, I think that they got too money happy, and they're just like, you had such a beautiful thing, and then you dragged it out for one season, and then now you're gonna fucking kill off the main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? You're just going to make this thing go on forever? Well, no, you already have you have Fear the Walking Dead. Like, you have a different show to make it go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's the same show now because they're both post-apocalypse. It's supposed to be like, oh, Fear the Walking Dead is what happens just before the zombie apocalypse. But now they're in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, so it's like, it's just fucking crazy that you had this new show which was supposed to be like that idea, but now you're going to just keep the original show going? Like, you have to know when to finish it, you know? Like, some of the like, nobody's going to look at Breaking Bad and go, oh, shit.
It went too long.
Yeah, like, why didn't you guys keep going? It's like, no, it was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It was good. You kind of hit it out of the park with that.
Yeah. And then another thing, I don't know if you want to fucking save this, but I texted you, and that Elon Musk shit with Jim Rogan.
Our good friend Jim Rogan.
Joe Rogan had me fucking a little weary about him also.
I covered it. Did you see my thing on it?
No, I haven't.
I spoke about it. You're right to feel a little creeped out by him for a number of reasons, but he drug tests his employees, and then he's fired some of them for failing the drug test.
And then he fucking goes on his show and smokes weed.
Yeah, like, that's super scummy, man. And apparently he's really hostile to the idea of a union. Like, one of the women who got fired for failing the drug test said, I think it has more to do with the fact that I wanted a union.
I wasn't mad at him for fucking taking a puff of
No,
the
I
weed,
wasn't either,
like...
but he's a hypocrite. And if you're going to fucking smoke it, let your fucking people... And it was people in California who were fired for it, and it's already fucking legal
up.
there. Yeah, it's fucked up. It'd be fucked up if he was in Minnesota, too, but it's fucked up there.
Yeah. My whole thing was that, like, he kept avoiding Joe's question of how do you have the time to do all this shit?
Well, he's not...
How do you have the time to fucking dig a tunnel in California?
He has communication problems. He's not good.
But he wasn't even answering the question.
I know.
Like, and it's a valid question. Like, I don't have time to fucking watch the TV shows I like because I'm tired from working all day and shit like that, doing one job. This guy's fucking building Tesla and fucking sending rocket space to Mars.
Dude, I think a lot of that shit that he says he's going to do, he just doesn't ever end up doing. Like, he's a lot like Trump in that way. Like, he'll just say shit. Like, oh, I'm going to clean all the water in Flint. And then somebody followed up. He didn't do shit.
I mean, he did get a fucking rocket ship with a car in it to fucking go into outer space, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, but why the fuck is that guy, like... trying to do 47 things at once, and he doesn't even end up doing half of them. Like, I feel like a lot of it, okay, he strikes me as a bullshitter. He does. Mm-hmm. I know that there are a lot of Elon Musk fans that exist, but there's something off about that dude, man.
Yeah.
And I might get some backlash for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just watching that podcast with Rogan and Musk, he looks autistic. Like, something's... And I'm not saying that in a way where, like, all autism is bad
He's
or
on the
wrong
spectrum,
or anything
as
like
Larry
that.
David would say.
Yeah, because I think I might be on the spectrum or something.
Did you see that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode?
Well, hold on. Let me just address this because people are going to get pissed at me. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying that he seems like he's... he doesn't seem like he's able to communicate. He doesn't seem like he's synced in with other people and can almost...
Well, that's his whole thing. Is Rogan is saying he's like a robot, and like, I mean, all of the geniuses of like our whole history have been probably socially awkward and can't hold a conversation with someone because like...
Yeah, but he even might be like, what's the word? Savant? Is that a...
Yeah, savant's a thing where you're just so good at something that, like, you're good at that one. I don't know. Savant is some shit like that.
Let me see. We're going to find out right now. I typed in savant and it said servant, and then I realized I spelt it wrong. Okay, savant syndrome is a condition in which someone with significant mental disabilities demonstrates certain abilities far in excess of average. Yeah, okay, I've heard of this before. So this is when, like, somebody might not be good at, like, a zillion things, but then give them a piano and they're amazing. That kind of thing.
They're usually good at just, like, one thing, like a savant.
Yeah, the skills at which savants excel are generally related to memory, including rapid calculation, artistic ability, map making, or musical ability.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to fall into that category because, I mean, he knew about different topics that Rogan was talking about. It wasn't like he just knows how to play the piano or some shit.
Yeah, but I can't put my finger on it, but what is it about him that's...
He's just socially awkward. He's just like...
Is that it? You think it's just socially awkward?
Yeah, I think he probably... Yeah, I think he's just socially awkward. Like, he's not interacting with fucking regular human beings.
I read an article...
He's interacting with, like, genius technology guru people.
I read an article that said... Well, no, he's fucking dating, like, Azalea Banks or some shit, like a rapper.
Oh, Iggy Azalea?
No, Azalea Banks. Azalea...
Oh, I don't know who that is.
She's a rapper, I think, right?
She's definitely cheating on him.
Like, that's my point, is like he's trying to be on some shit where it's like, oh, I'll clean the water in Flint. Oh, I'll fucking go to Mars. Oh, I'll do this. Oh, I'll do that. Oh, I'm dating a fucking rapper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, it strikes me like he's extra. Yeah, she's a rapper. But I read an article where they were like, people close to him have been worrying about him recently because they're like, one time he was high on LSD, another time he's popping fucking Ambien. Like, he was...
That guy's doing fine.
Erratic.
People are still going to buy his shit.
Erratic is the word.
Yeah.
And even, like, whatever, the executives and stockholders were like, what's going on with him? He seems really weird lately. Maybe he's just the eccentric billionaire. Eccentric, however you say it, billionaire. But, I don't know, that dude, I don't know how I feel about him.
Yeah, he's definitely fucking random.
I think it just annoys me how whenever anybody brings him up, they suck him off, and it's never like a sober.
Yeah, well, someone
analysis.
won't be like, well, he didn't complete this project that he spoke about. He didn't complete that project that he spoke about.
I've never heard anybody say anything but positive shit about him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's always like, oh my God, he's amazing. Look at the things he's doing 1,000 things. Oh my God, it's so great. Like, even when Rogan brought up that thing to him about, like, so they're letting you drill under LA, he was like, I'm not saying it's going to work.
He's like, it's just a hole.
Yeah, like, and I was like, what the fuck are you saying?
And
like, Rogan like pushed him a little bit, and he's like, I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And then he was accusing some dude of being a pedophile. Some Thailand.
Oh, I didn't hear that shit.
No, he was the dude in he didn't do it on the podcast, but there was a lot of... This is a story that kind of came out afterwards, is that he said it about one of the people who saved those kids in that Thailand cave. Remember the cave? Those kids were in there, and like... that's why I've had an issue with him. Because in that story, he said, "Oh, I'm going to save those kids, and I know exactly how to do it." But like he was tweeting about it. Like, why are you tweeting? You want to save the kids? Go fucking
to Thailand. Yeah.
Yeah, like go talk to the people who are like. Why
Trying
are you
to get them out,
tweeting?
yeah.
You're on Twitter talking about it. So he's
Yeah.
responding to people like, "Oh, what we do is we do a mini submarine and we put it in there, and then this is how you enter, and it's this size, and it'll fit through the cave, and here are the dimensions of the cave." And then one of the guards was like, "We looked at his shit. It wouldn't have worked. It was totally unnecessarily complex, and it wasn't a good idea." And then that led Elon Musk to speculate that dude was a pedophile who said that. Because he's like, "What are you doing?
Fuck?
You're a white dude in Thailand." And all, like, apparently that's like the fucking, there's a lot of pedophilia issues there or whatever. He's like, the only reason a white dude would be in Thailand, basically, I think this is the implication, is that you're a pedophile. It's just like, why? That's what I mean. He's so extra. Like, why are you fucking, what are you doing?
That's weird.
There's
really
a fucking
weird.
team of experts that were working on getting those kids out, and you're like talking about a mini fucking submarine.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah, he's just, whatever. I'll get a lot of hate for talking about Elon like this, but
Nah, if people keep it real, I mean, you're spitting facts. Like, shit is true. That he hasn't completed a lot of his projects. And, like, who's to say that, like, someone else didn't fucking design that whole SpaceX fly into outer space?
And then it's also annoying that why can't
car.
they just have NASA be doing it, man? Like, that used to be great about the U.S. is we had NASA. And NASA,
that's why there's got to be some weird shit behind it, because it's like, if I'm a genius, I can't just go and fucking put a rocket ship into space and have a car fucking come out of it.
Is it because we're just obsessed with privatizing everything in this country that we're like, oh, a private company wants to go to space? Fine, we'll let you go and not let NASA do it anymore. Like, it's fucked up.
I feel like it would be the opposite. Like, letting NASA do it and not letting someone else do it would be like,
that's what we used to be about, is like, oh, NASA, it's like national pride that we're going to fucking explore space and then we get all these technologies out of it. Now we're letting a fucking billionaire do all of it. And it's like, well, what happens when we get new technologies that can be used for the public? Is Elon Musk going to make all the money from this shit when it used to be in the public interest?
yeah, unless someone else can figure out how to fucking put a spaceship with a car in it in outer space. That's the only motherfucker that can do it right now.
Why did he want to put a car out there?
Oh, because it was on some extra shit. Like, he just fucking wanted a car in outer space, a Tesla or whatever.
Like, I get the idea of, oh, let's try to colonize Mars. Is that what he's trying to do? Colonize Mars or some shit? Like, build a fucking society there or something? Is that what he's trying to do?
I have no idea.
I mean, that is a cool idea.
Not even. I wouldn't even.
No, that's not cool. Would it be cool to set up like a colony on the moon or some shit? I think that'd be cool.
Fuck no. I mean, if it could save us from whatever the fuck's going on now with this fucking storms and shit. Yo, that North Carolina shit is creeping me out, man, because it's just like, this is the start of fucking the day after tomorrow, man.
You always
It's
make
not
that
on
point
some,
when
like-
it's like this.
Because it is. Like, we all, like, fucking news people are laughing. They interview
Dude,
drunk people
Day
that are
After
like,
Tomorrow is so over the top, though. You have to know
not
that.
even though.
What? Did that fucking movie? They're being chased by like frostbite that kills them instantly.
Well, there's like crazy
like
snowstorms and shit. Like in the
Negative
beginning, I'm like,
8,000 degrees type shit.
yo, it's gonna be the fucking same thing, man.
No,
And the funny thing, I don't really remember the movie, but someone was telling me that at the end, they need to get into like Mexico. Like, they're asking Mexico if they can like come into Mexico for like shelter and savior, and like the president of Mexico like lets them in or some shit. So imagine that's how we are now. Like, we have to fucking rely on Mexico with all the shit that Trump said to them.
I'm telling you, you got to watch that movie again because it's so over the top. Like,
It'll probably be on fucking TBS tonight. 'Cause that shit is on every
almost
day.
certainly will be.
Because whoever is the programmer for TV puts that shit on knowing that, like, knowing some shit. They play that all the time, and they fucking show The Purge all the time, because fucking motherfuckers are going to wild out. It's going to be some Day After Tomorrow shit, and then some Purge
There's
shit.
a show now called The Purge, and it looks kind of good. I just saw the
shows.
yeah, there are too many shows. But I saw just the ad for it, and I was like, "Oh, this looks good." Because the movie was a letdown. The Purge, the movie, it was a letdown.
What's the TV show about?
It's
Like,
called
same
The
type
Purge,
of shit?
and it's the same shit, like the same concept. And it looked a lot better than the movie was. I wasn't a fan of the movie. Just the idea of the movie was good.
I'm pissed that Kevin Hart's coming out with a fucking movie, which I thought was coming out a while ago, that Night School movie with Tiffany Haddish. Have you seen any previews for it?
Nah, Kevin Hart's so mainstream that he's off my radar.
I know.
Because he's so mainstream, and I'm like allergic to everything that's super mainstream.
People are just so fucking corny. Like, oh, I gotta stop watching the Kelly and all that shit because, like, they spoke about this new bachelor who's supposedly a virgin, and everybody's like loving this guy, and they're like, is he really a virgin? Is he not? Does it matter? And I'm just like, who the fuck cares? Like, why are you even watching this bullshit?
What's his name?
I don't know. Just type in new bachelor virgin and that shit will pop the fuck up. But supposedly he was a former football player. So I was like, that motherfucker. And he's not like, it's not some crazy religious shit. I think he's just a virgin just fucking because.
Chris Harrison. Okay, let's see what his age is.
I think he was like a former football player.
Former pro football player.
Was he a pro?
That's what it says.
Yeah,
Chris
you're telling
Harrison,
me that good-looking dude wasn't
age.
fucking going back to his hotel, banging chicks out? Give me a
Chris
fucking
Harrison,
break.
The Bachelor age. There's another Chris Harrison, apparently.
7 million Chris Harrisons.
No, another famous one, I mean.
I know the host of The Bachelor was like banging all the girls that got sent home that didn't get roses. Chris, whatever his name is.
That's so creepy.
I know it came out that like all the girls that got sent home, he would go in on them.
I don't know how old that guy is, but I think I'm calling bullshit on him being a virgin.
It's way bullshit, and that's the whole thing. Is like,
especially if it's not some religious shit, I don't believe it.
Yeah, it wasn't for religious reasons or something like that.
And that guy looks like he's fucking 30.
But like people who watch that show, and people who like, at least when I watch Kelly and Ryan, sometimes they'll talk about some shit that matters. Like they'll talk about maybe some news. If you're watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and Kardashians and Jersey Shore and Floribama Shore.
Floribama. I should probably watch that just to see the train wreck it is. It's got to be really bad, right? I mean, Jersey Shore was bad enough, but
I don't know. I don't watch them anymore.
Floribama.
Like, the fact that people still watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, people listen to us. We don't fucking. I mean, you say educational shit, but like, I don't fucking say.
Well, I think the reason why people listen to us is because we're just two dudes talking. And when you talk about the shows that you just mentioned,
yeah,
they're all so fake. Like, that's all so fake.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
watching fucking fake shit if you're watching that.
Scripted shit.
If you just want to watch regular people have a conversation, those are the people who watch us. You know?
Respect to you.
To us, not just me.
Yeah,
that's why people watch this. We're regular people having a conversation.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we talk about fucking real life shit that fucking matters, like the world coming to an end. So if you live in North Carolina,
like living in the world after the day after tomorrow,
yeah,
that we're all obviously living in at this moment.
There's probably people fucking that live in like the Carolinas that listen to this shit. That
get out. What are you waiting for? Go, leave. If you're on the Carolina coast, get the fuck out. I'm not just saying that. There's
people that
mandatory evacuation, dude.
Yeah, there's people that don't bounce though. That are like,
yeah, that's nuts though. You got to go. Get out of there. Because if it actually makes landfall as a Category 4 or 5,
well, most of the time those weathermen are wrong and that shit fizzles out and it doesn't actually hit as bad as it's supposed to.
All they can do is say what the models are showing.
Yeah,
and the models are pretty accurate. So the last thing you'd want to do is to not go when an actual Category 4 or 5 hits, because look at what happened in Katrina, look at what happened in fucking Maria. Like, Houston. That shit is deadly. It's just deadly. Doesn't matter that you're in the United States, doesn't matter. Because what happens when these things hit and it's the heart of the storm, the cops can't even come to help you if you're in trouble.
No.
Because it's impossible. They can't get to you. So what are you going to do? You going to fucking risk your life? Just get out of there. Just drive fucking 3 hours in the inland direction and get a hotel. That's it. That's all it is.
It fucking sucks for those weathermen. Like, when the producer probably calls them and they're like, yeah, we're going to need you to go on the beach.
Some of those people love that shit, man. Some of those people love shit where they're risking their life because they get kicks out of that. That's how they get their... Like, that's how they feel alive, and that's how they feel like they're spending their time. Right. That's how they're, like, addicted. They're, like, adrenaline junkies. They're addicted to that kind of stuff, which is the opposite of me. I don't want to fucking risk anything.
I don't want to go skydiving. I don't want to do any of
Yeah,
that
no,
shit.
that's the
Roller
last shit.
coasters.
Skydiving or any shit where there's like wild animals involved. Fuck
Fuck
out of here
that.
with that shit.
I don't know why people enjoy that shit. Like
Yeah,
I don't get that rush. I can
it's
get
that
that eating
adrenaline
a
rush,
slice of
man.
pizza or some shit. Like give me a
God
fat
damn it! Now I
slice
want
of
pizza.
pizza.
Why'd you mention that? I
Like
want
some
it so
banging,
bad.
like or a banging burger and some fucking steak
Oh,
fries
stop!
next to that shit.
Oh, stop!
I'll get the same rush as skydiving, which is crazy. Someone else like give me a big bowl of Skittles and just tell me that this shit won't affect any like carbs in my body and I can eat the whole shit with like whipped cream on it. And I'll get the same rush as skydiving.
Imagine
A
as you
big
eat
bowl
it,
of
it's like
Skittles with whipped cream on it.
you feel like you're falling. Ah.
I would get the same feeling, probably if not better, because I would be eating that shit. I'd be like, oh my god. But then once I ate the whole bowl, I'd fucking be dead.
The past few nights, I've had insanely vivid dreams. There was one dream I remember where I was in the dream, I was sleeping. And I was waking up in the dream. So it was some weird Inception shit where it's like
Oh, I
sleeping
get scared of those.
sleeping in a dream, and then I woke up in the dream, and I didn't really know it was a dream.
You ever fucking that's scary as fuck.
It was
And
vivid too, man. It was a powerful dream. It was everything looked so real.
I think it's similar to the like. Have you ever like try to wake up from a dream and you like can't like you're like all right, I'm gonna wake up
That's happened
because
to
I
me
know
a
I'm
few
in a
times.
dream
Yeah,
and you can't wake up.
yeah. Have you ever had sleep paralysis? Which is where it's almost like an out of body experience where you want to open your eyes and wake up, but you can't. But you're
Yeah, I
like
think-
seeing yourself not get up, and you're like, "Go,
Yeah.
get up," and you just can't.
Yeah, but I think that at least you know you're awake.
Yeah, but that's even scarier.
Yeah,
Because
but
it's
that
like,
one at least is like, all right, I know I'm not dead. Like I'm just like I just can't move right now.
have you ever died in a dream?
No, I don't think it's possible. I
Yeah,
think every
you
time,
wake up. Every
Yeah.
time you're about to die, you wake up.
Yeah,
That's so weird, isn't it?
yeah, I'll be like falling or some shit, and I'll just oh fuck.
Why can't anybody die in a dream? That's so strange.
I don't know. But the weirdest shit is that one where I'm like, I just like I can't wake up. Like I'm sleeping. The other shit I might like I'd be like, oh, I can't fucking move. What the fuck? But the other one I'll be sleeping and I'm like, all right, wake up. This is a dream. And just like I can't wake up. Like
Oh,
it's like you're so far in the sunken
Yeah.
place that like you fucking can't even get out of that level. That shit creeps me out, and I feel like that. Oh fuck! I hope that never happens to me again.
I know
That
that-
along with like a leg cramp.
I know that you need to dream for you to get healthy sleep, but I feel like sometimes I'd rather sleep without dreaming at all. Like I'd rather just kind of be out because there's what is it, stage 4 sleep? I think it is, where it's just like nothingness. And even though that's not like the most restful sleep, you feel like it is because it's just you're just like unplugged kind of, you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
when you're dreaming, shit is going on. Like you exist even though you're not currently active in the world. Like you exist in your dream, so it's almost like tiring. It's like let me just sleep in the stage 4 shit. That's the shit. That probably one of the reasons why Michael Jackson ended up dying is because
He was so far into his sleep.
he felt like that propofol shit that he was given, because that's the shit they give if you want to if you're gonna have like surgery or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that he felt like that made him feel like really rested. Like when he woke up, he felt so much better from that kind of sleep, even though that wasn't actually giving him restful sleep.
Oh,
Like, but that's what that does to you when you go under. Like you go under for surgery, they'll give you that, and you just feel like nothingness. Like it's just nothing's there.
that's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's weird. Sleep is a weird thing, man. It's a really weird thing that I wish I knew more about. And what's crazy is scientists don't even know yet exactly why it is we have to sleep. There's no immediately obvious answer. Like, oh, you have to sleep because of...
Yeah.
There's no answer like that. It's just we all know we have to do it. Nobody can really explain why.
Or our body will just do it. Like,
Yeah, if you don't sleep, I forget what the the longest somebody went without sleep is, but it's only like, I mean, it's like 11 days or some shit. It's not that long. I mean, I guess you die faster if you don't have water. Like, you'll die without water in like a few days.
Yeah.
And food is maybe, I don't know how long for food, but sleep, you absolutely need to do it, and we don't know why, but you just have to do it.
I think, like, what if we were in the game The Sims, and like someone like is controlling you right now as like a radio host, and like controlling me as my person, and like like someone's playing a computer game right now.
No, I mean, it sounds crazy, but the idea that we're living in a simulation is not an uncommon idea, and it's not just made by like hippie stoners. It's also like serious scientists have spoken about that. Simulation theory.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Evidence we live in a simulation. Let's see what it says. Are we living in a computer simulation? I hope you're sitting down. You ready from where this is from?
Yeah.
Scientific American.
That sounds like some legit ass shit, but I don't fucking know.
High-profile physicists and philosophers gather to debate whether we are real or virtual and what it means either way. That's crazy. I mean, it's possible, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the fuck is going on, man.
I know, so people just try and fucking think of shit because, like, we're all just wasting time.
We don't know, like, we don't even know if we live in a universe or a multiverse. Like, there could be multiple universes.
Yeah, there's other shit going on. Like, why are we the only spot with people? There's people somewhere else.
No, there's definitely people elsewhere. And that could just be in only other solar systems or other galaxies. But
yeah,
we don't know, like, if there could be multiple universes, which is a crazy fucking thought.
It is crazy, yeah.
And are the laws of, like, fucking physics the same there as they are here? Like, these are all questions that are just fucking mind-blowing that we don't know.
That's why it would piss me off to be like a Neil deGrasse Tyson and be that smart, because it's just like, you're sort of never going to find the answers to your questions.
Well,
like,
some questions, yeah, you're never gonna get them.
If you're a fucking veterinarian or some shit, like, you can find, like, a possible cure or some shit, but, like, if you're an astrophysicist or some shit,
I think that's what he is.
You can go your whole life without finding the fucking answers to your questions.
Try being a philosopher. That's probably even worse. You get fewer answers.
Yeah, just like how people think.
No, like, what's the meaning of life?
Oh,
shit like that.
Yeah, but at least you can fucking convince yourself of shit. You can sort of lie to yourself. Like,
well, it depends. If you're trying to get to actual real answers, it's harder to do than you can come up with a subjective answer, which might satisfy you, and I think would satisfy most people. But if you're a philosopher and you're trying to somehow get at something more than that, that could be fucking really difficult. But I mean, like,
I guess.
Even shit like, okay, the Big Bang. I think most scientists agree the Big Bang happened.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what happened before it? What led to it? Again, what's just beyond our universe? What happened? Like, so what is it? The universe is 13.8 billion years old, I think it is. So what?
I thought it was just a couple thousand years old.
The Earth is 4.5 billion. The universe, I think, is 13.8 billion. But what happened, like, right before that? And is that even a question that's even askable? Because is it like...
Is it answerable?
Is it answerable? Like, is there nothing? Is it just nothing? Is it just nothing before that? You know what I mean? Or is it, like you said, are we all fucking living
we don't fucking know. Like, Adam and Eve and all this weird shit. Like, we don't
know that's bullshit. That's not real. That's all fake.
Well, there had to be the two first people, like, that evolved from fucking apes or whatever the fuck, gorillas.
Well, I guess you could say there was eventually a first Homo sapien.
Yeah, there had to be one first person.
But that's not Adam and Eve is the biblical
story.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
But
you're saying you want to give the first Homo sapien that name?
Yeah, maybe his name was Adam.
Adam and Eve. Well,
we don't know.
That weird evolution, like, from apes, and then you gradually get more and more human-like, and then eventually you look like almost totally hairless. I mean, we still have hair on our head and on our fucking face and shit, but...
Like, there had to be a time when there was a fucking human on the Earth who, like...
Humans existed with Neanderthals at one point.
What's a Neanderthal?
A Neanderthal is, I'll give you the exact answer. Think of like a caveman.
Oh, okay, yeah, like some gorilla caveman-y type of shit.
Yeah, it's basically like a caveman type thing.
Uh-huh.
Neanderthals are an extinct species, whatever, subspecies of archaic humans who lived in Eurasia until 40,000 years ago. So it's like a different thing, but very similar to us that we lived alongside with.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
That is nuts to
and
think.
I think they said we interbred. So like there's a lot of Neanderthal DNA in certain I think I remember covering a story about how there's Neanderthal DNA in like specifically in Europeans, but not in other. Let me see. Neanderthal. Seriously, Neanderthal.
But that evolution shit that they show of like the fucking weird like gorilla or whatever, like Eskimo shit turning into a human, it isn't probably accurate. It probably.
Well, they said that that's not exactly accurate. That's not.
Oh
a
yeah,
good.
I mean, it probably becomes a baby, and then that baby became like a fucking human gradually over time.
Well, it's just that in that
They're
chart,
just showing that. Yeah.
they show very distinct, like it went from this to this and this to this, but really every step of the way where there was a change, it was so gradual
Yeah.
that it was like it would have to be a super long thing, and you have to just put minuscule changes in each thing.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. LA Times. As much as 2.6% of your DNA is from Neanderthals. This is what it's doing. Oh, fuck.
So those weird fucking like internet sites that you send in your saliva to see where you're from, they're all wrong because they don't fucking put Neanderthal on there.
I think they might.
Oh, seriously?
I think some of them might.
I wanted to try and do one of those things, but it was like $50. I was like, fuck you, I don't give a shit that much.
That's exactly what happened with me. I think my mom got me one year for like
Oh, really?
Christmas or something, and I just gave it to my sister. Research confirms that Neanderthal DNA, what, makes up about 20%? 20%? Oh, this seems like bullshit, because it's from ancientorigins.net. The other one, at least, was LA Times.
Ancientorigins.net. Yeah, LA Times I would give a little bit more credibility. What was that for? To show that we're from Neanderthals?
Yeah, LA Times said 2.6%, and this other one says 20%. Let's see what Gizmodo says. It says we have
There's
more.
so many sites that I didn't even know what fucking Reddit was.
Oh my god, people in the comments are gonna dunk on you now.
At
least I knew what it was. I don't use it, but at least I knew what it was.
Someone had to explain it to me, like, because I was watching Serena Williams at the U.S. Open, and they were like, "Oh, she's married to the Reddit guy." I was like, "I've heard of Reddit, but what the fuck does it do?
Like
what
a
is
message board shit, right?
Yeah.
Is that how they described it?
They were like, if you have some weird fetish or weird shit, you could put a question, you could put it on there, and other people would say stuff about it. This is sort of what Reddit is.
Yeah, I don't even know exactly how it works. I just know it's like a message board thingy.
But like
Now there's a new one, Discord. You heard of Discord? Shout out to the
Nope.
Secular Talk Discord. Holla at your boy.
So what is that?
Discord is some other new shit. I don't know how it works. They're gonna make fun of me on the Secular Talk Discord now. I'm a
So it's like
grandpa.
a
What do you want me
form-
to say? I'm 30, but I'm really like 80.
I don't know any of this shit. I know Craigslist. I know Twitter. I know Instagram. I know Facebook. Twitch, I learned a little bit about because video game shit. I was watching like the Knicks video game
Yeah,
play on
Twitch
there.
is legit. I think Twitch is like it's kind of like a YouTube thing, but for gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember I saw my cousin using Twitch, watching somebody play some first-person shooter game,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh shit, this looks pretty cool." But now they're branching out. They don't just do games anymore, right? Don't they do like a bunch of shit?
Couldn't tell you.
I should check out Twitch. I know that somebody who does what I do
Mm-hmm.
was
Went
in
to Twitch?
talks with Twitch. Like Twitch was like, "Oh, we're thinking of expanding. Do you want to come to our thing?"
Well,
and then
Twitch
he
was
asked me
smart.
about
They
it.
fucking hit you up.
No, he asked me if I was interested in it also, and I was like, I don't know.
But he wasn't from Twitch though, right?
No, he's my friend who does what I do.
Oh yeah. So
he was
it'd
like,
have to
"Oh."
be Twitch to be like, here's what we do. This is what we want to do. Do you
Well,
want to do?
That's what I'm saying. Twitch told him he was considering it, and he was asking me if I would consider it too. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it would have to be from Twitch, not the
It is
person.
from Twitch, but it's through
Oh,
him.
oh,
Yeah, because they're trying to expand out beyond
oh, oh,
just
oh, oh.
gamers, and they probably already have, I think.
Yeah, well, the gaming shit is huge because
Oh,
I watched.
gigantic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But it'd be
I
weird
don't.
because I'd be one of the only people there not gaming.
Yeah, but that'd be
Or one of
dope.
few. Would it? But again, isn't it also like I don't know enough about it, so I should shut up. But I feel like it's your stream like all day type shit.
Fucking watching Mike Pence at like some 9/11 shit.
He's so fucking fake, that guy.
What did they even think a plane would do to crash into the Pentagon? Like that shit is mad low to the ground. Like I feel like they.
Dive right into it, almost like you're landing, but going fucking 500 miles an hour or however fast they were going.
Yeah, I guess, but you're only taking out like one spot of it.
You just from the things you're saying, there will be like 400 people watching this who are like, let me check out those 9/11 inside job fucking.
Probably.
I'm gonna tell everybody right now, right up front.
That shit'll convince you a little
Those
bit.
shits are convincing because when I first watched it, I was like, oh shit. But here's the thing: their trick is all they do is ask questions and poke holes in shit, and then they never actually try to prove that it's the government that did it. But you're supposed to fill that in the gaps. Like that's the thing about it is like it's almost like a God of the gaps type thing. But in this instance, it's like it's the government doing a conspiracy of the gaps. Like no matter where there's a gap, you're just supposed to fill it in with that shit was the government. 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 And then the other thing is, you really like a lot of the things they say. They come up like it sounds like they're giving facts, but if you look it up, it's actually just not a fact. Like they'll say some shit, and you're like, "Oh shit, is that real?" And unless you're fucking fact checking every little thing they say, you could be convinced by what they said. But then when you actually break it down, like point by point, you're like, "Well, that wasn't exactly right. That wasn't right either."
Yeah.
So it's not like you can't.
Well, they'll just throw out random questions like, "Would you think a building would fall if something?"
No. They'll
like,
go for. They'll be like, "Oh, you can't." Whatever how hot the fire was, it wasn't possible for it to melt the steel type thing. And then they'll give you some specific ass temperature, like this is the temperature that this shit melts, and it's just like, do you really know what the fuck you're talking about? You know what I mean? And when you actually have experts go through it, they're like, no, that's wrong, and here's why that's wrong, and here's exactly how the building fell, and it's not like you're describing it.
Yeah.
So like, do I
The
think
president wrote on a piece of paper that was made in Saudi Arabia. Do you think it's connected? Like they'll just ask stupid ass random shit.
Do I think that there are holes in the official story? Hell yes, I do. I think that they, when the government didn't have a good answer, they would just like fill it in with some vague shit. So I think there are holes in the official story. I think there are weird things that happened in the event, but I don't know. I can't say it was a conspiracy. And then the other thing is, like, let's say, so the argument for the conspiracy, it kind of falls apart on motive alone because let's say the government wanted to do a false flag to get us into wars. All they had to do was take, like, an old ship that was scheduled to go out of commission anyway and, like, sink an old ship and say, oh, shit, we were attacked by terrorists and they sunk our ship. And that's it.
Got, people on alert.
You didn't, like, why? If you're going to do a conspiracy to try to start new wars, why would you attack? By the way, even if you say, oh, no, they had to do something bigger, so they had to attack a building, why wouldn't you just attack one? And by the way, the people they killed in the World Trade Center, a lot of them are very powerful, very rich people who are from the establishment. So why would you kill the people who fund the government and control the government in many respects? Like, there's just so many little things that don't add. And the other thing is, in the wake of 9/11, they accurately said, like, oh, it's the Saudis and it's Osama bin Laden. But then later on, Bush tried to build the case for Iraq. So it's like, that doesn't, if you're going to do the conspiracy, why would you not say Iraq immediately? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't say Iraq immediately. So it's like, there's just so much, like, if you're going to do a false flag to get us to go into Iraq, you would have done the false flag and just immediately said Iraq and Saddam Hussein, but you didn't do that. That waited years later, and then you started pushing that shit. And then if you're going to do a false flag, why the fuck would you not just sink a ship and have nobody get hurt? Instead, you're killing people who are really the people who control the government anyway, because it's the rich business people.
Yeah.
So just too much of it, like, they fill in the blanks by saying the government did it, but you don't really know. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I'm telling you, those shits are convincing the way that they're made, though. Like, you watch it,
sure.
It doesn't strike you like it's Alex Jones crazy shit, but it is. But, like, it doesn't strike you like that because it's well-produced and people...
Yeah, fuck people for making those videos, man. Fuck those fucking conspiracy
they're creative.
theorists.
They're fucking creative. Like, that's...
You know what but they're fucking hurting our... Like, it's just not useful.
And then the other thing... Yeah, well, that's the main point in my mind, because it's almost like... What more would the government want than for people who care about politics to get sidetracked on some shit that is never going to change anything? So take all these people who are really active in politics and really interested, and it's like they're just barking at pine cones about how we need a new investigation into 9/11. It's like all of that energy that you're using to try to for what? What's your end goal? Get everybody to admit that it was an inside job, and then what? Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Now everybody says it's an inside job. And then what? There is no and then. So all that energy that you could be putting towards improving everybody's life, and why not put that energy into ending the fucking wars? Instead of, that's it. Like, take all the energy, put it towards ending the wars. And then instead of fucking just getting, like, what? You just want your grandma and shit to admit, like, okay, it was the government. And then there's no thing after that. So it's like you're wasting all your energy on this.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's the thing about it that I always was like, hold on. Like, even if you believe it, there is no, and then there is no logical conclusion. It's just, that's why if you're somebody who's rich and powerful and you're controlling the government, you'll look at these conspiracy theorists and be like, thank you for wasting all your energy on some shit that's not going to change anything. It's not going to.
Well, that's like, with any debate, Jordan versus LeBron, it's just like, okay, so if we finally decide that, like, if they have all these scientific facts and it comes out proven that Jordan's better than LeBron, what's next? Like,
there is
they
no
can't
next.
play each other. Yeah, there is no next. It's such a good point.
Wouldn't
like,
it be amazing if we had a time machine and we could see the best versus the best?
Oh,
Tiger versus Jack type shit.
You'd be happy. My friend worked at a golf course in California, and he said Obama played there, and like Obama was insisting to take a photo with the staff and was just mad nice and like mad friendly, versus fucking Tiger Woods, who I've told you was worked out at Gold's Gym, and told the whole staff he'd take a picture, and then just fucking dipset.
That's fucked up. And my mom and dad said the same thing. They went to some tournament in like 1996 and saw Tiger, and he just kind of walked by him. But then again, they're asked all the fucking time.
I guess so, but like if they let you work out in their fucking gym. I saw Ernie Els at P.F. Chang's.
He's a nice guy, I heard.
He was really nice.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you never know, man, because sometimes you catch people on a shitty day. You don't know what's going on in their private lives. But yeah, it sucks when you don't, like when they're not, when you get a bad impression from somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and with a guy like Tiger, I mean, I'm biased. I can't be like, yeah, fuck him. You know?
Fuck him.
He almost won again, man. He almost won again.
He almost wins. Like, just win some shit,
dude,
dog.
Oh, nah, come on, man. You can't even say that, though. Because the dude last year was fucking bedridden.
I know. Yeah, he's getting close, but it's like, you got to fucking crack. What's the next major?
Listen, I wasn't sure I'd ever see this again. The next major's fucking April. April.
Masters again?
Masters, yeah. But it's a while off. But there's still the Tour Championship, which is coming up.
I don't care about any of that shit.
No, that's the last playoff event, so it's kind of big.
But I want to see a fucking major, like. Yeah,
I hear you, but like, if you're not seeing the majors or the Players Championship, then the best thing is the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they've tried. They've had the playoffs now for maybe about 8 years or so.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 years or so. It's now just becoming more of a thing where people are like, okay, we have the playoffs in golf. Like, that's now a thing. Yeah. When it first came out, everybody was like, fuck you. We already have the majors. We don't need no fucking playoffs.
Even the Mickelson shit, like, that'll be cool, but, like, I want to see him win some fucking major shit would be impressive.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Like, they'll all be impressive, but that's what I want to see as a major shit.
Well, of course. I mean, of course. If he wins once more or twice more, he catches Sam Snead's all-time win record. And then he has 14 majors. He would need 4 more majors to tie Jack, which is a big ask, man. To put that in perspective, Rory McIlroy has 4 majors.
And he's got, what, like fucking 14 or some shit?
Tiger has 14. But I'm saying
That's
Rory
wild.
is one of the best golfers in the world.
Yeah.
He has 4 for his whole career. Tiger would need 4 more, and he's 42 with a fuse back. So that's almost impossible, but you never say impossible with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
So anyway, we wish him the best. All right, we can wrap it up. We've been talking for over 2 hours, son. God damn!
I gotta go get some peanut butter with whipped cream on that shit.
That sounded more sexual than like food related. I gotta get some peanut butter with whipped cream on it. I gotta get some fucking anything.
Oh.
I want pizza, but it's too late.
Oh, when I was in New York, there's a spot on Central Ave that has pizza that's so good. Oh, I don't even remember the name of it to fucking show them love. But fuck, it was good.
Damn, I want pizza, but it's too late. I don't know what to eat. I'm fucked.
Yeah, you're sort of assed out.
Oh, no, I know what I'll have. I'll have one. I got these like breakfast burrito things. They're kind of banging.
Like microwavable?
Yeah, you put it in the microwave for 1 minute and 40 seconds, and that shit is delicious. But I mean, it sounds disgusting because it's literally like a breakfast burrito, so it's got like eggs in it and shit.
That could be good.
But it's delicious. And it's quick. So
Does it say 1:40? Because I do popcorn. I do like 1 minute and like 33 seconds gets all the extra like kernels.
No, it says I think like 1:20. But
Yeah, those shits are always wrong. Like they should send surveys out to people afterwards, like for popcorn, for every type of popcorn, because always there's fucking kernels at the bottom of my shit. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
I could have did this shit for another 2 seconds.
Either you have burnt shit and no kernels, or you have kernels and not burnt shit.
Yeah, you think anybody's ever done a perfect bag of popcorn and there were no kernels?
People have gotten close, but they've never gotten a perfect bag.
Someone had to have had a perfect bag.
Nah, because so let's say you get a perfect bag, you're gonna have 1 or 2 like popcorn pieces that are like a little burnt.
Yeah,
like, you popped all of them.
Because if you overdo it, there's got to be a perfect time. So if you know the perfect popcorn time,
what if there's not though? What if there's just not a perfect time? Like you're gonna fuck it up at some point.
There's gotta be, because even if it's like from when the 133 clicks over to the 134, if you push that open button before it clicks, maybe that's the perfect time. Like it's out there.
I don't know about that, man, because there could be like
out
there could be like one popcorn that hasn't popped yet, a kernel that hasn't popped yet, but then another one that's already burning a little bit, and then there's just no happy medium ever. Like you can't get it. Oh, everything's exactly right. You know.
That's true. I think someone's got the perfect time out there. If you got the perfect time,
holla at us if you have a perfect bag of popcorn.
And then he'll tell me.
Yeah. Anyway, love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Peace.